McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we could talk about.
Yes, speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good day. It is Thursday, September 10th. Big day, big day. Today is obviously a day that has been circled on the calendar in my life and in the office for a long, long time. And before we get to why today is great, and you all know why today is great, we know why today is great, but before we get to that excitement, we got to handle some family business here first. Yesterday was a start of a new era for this show. We were back on Sirius XM full-time on Channel 82, Mad Dog Sports. We were obviously very excited to get back on Mad Dog Sports Radio, back onto Sirius XM. We were pumped to get on to a massive platform and with a new phone number, 1-888 Mad Dog 6, and the phone lines were busy the entire show yesterday. I assume that is very normal, and that'll continue probably until this show ends, if I had to guess. And there was a lot of people that said, hey, great to have you back on Sirius XM. Had a couple truckers say, hey, down there, took us a little time across Iowa with you yesterday and the boys across the afternoon. We appreciate that. I said, hey, I appreciate you too for listening. But then there was this one group, which I consider potentially the softest group of humans that I have ever encountered in my entire life. Yep. And this is somebody who has talked to basically every genre of person you could potentially talk to. I think the softest group of humans I've ever encountered is potentially the Mad Dog radio fans that were so upset that we used the word fuck yesterday. They all seem to look the exact same, by the way. And this is the picture of the humans that have always not liked what I am about. You can go all the way back until I'm in elementary school. I was selling cigarettes in 5th grade to basically everybody in town because I was trying to buy an extra grape juice box after lunch, which cost 50 cents. All the old whites hated me. That's been like the same way throughout my entire life. I get into this media world, the old whites hate me. Still to this day, the old whites hate me. And with the way we let off the show yesterday, whenever we got on Mad Dog Radio, was, hey, this is going to go the exact same way that it has been through my entire life whenever I get dropped in front of a new crowd of humans. Okay. And I even said that it took my mom 20 to 25 years to actually like me. And that is a factual statement. There's going to be people that absolutely hate us. And those people always look the exact same. And those people yesterday, normally it's, oh, he's too loud. Oh, he's too loud. Oh, this is a gimmick. Oh, this is a shtick. I would like to let you know, this is every fucking day, pal. This is going to be coming every single day. But these guys, these particular group of old whites, soft group, this is probably the softest group of old whites I've ever encountered. They're upset about our usage of the word fuck, which I did not know that was going to be a problem on Sirius XM radio. Now, I would like it to be known that I got a chance to talk to the legend Chris Mad Dog Gruesome before we went live, and he said, you do your show, however you want to do your show. He said, I don't swear, you can swear. You do whatever you got to do, it's your show. And he talked very fast, which some people said they were upset about me yesterday because I was talking too fast, but I think I'm actually leading into a guy who's potentially known for talking very fast on the radio, so if you don't like it, just speed up your listening a little bit, you old fucking white. So I continue, I didn't know the entire channel wasn't a swear channel, and I would like to let that, I could see how this could be quite a curveball. And also to the other hosts on this channel, I would like to let you know, I did not know that you are not allowed to swear. So I apologize for potentially breaking the channel code of not being allowed to swear. But this is just how I talk. And to be honest, this is why Westwood One and us, although we had a great relationship, didn't work, and why we were so pumped to get on Sirius is because we would like to let things fly. And I just want to let you know, old ass, soft ass white, the guests that we're going to have on this show, the people that you probably idolize, guess what? There's a good chance there's going to be a fucker of shit that's going to slip out of their mouth too. And I don't know if you're going to pray for them or throw holy water on them, but you potentially should go to the Catholic channel because there's going to be more motherfuckers heading to this channel than leaving this channel. And you can bet that. And that's why I call this show the dumbest show of all time, because it does good and it makes no sense. Everywhere I go, it does good. It makes makes no sense to me. It's the dumbest show of all time. I understand the morning men took a little bit of disrespect whenever I said our show was the dumbest show of all time because they said that they could compete for that. And I'm not saying that the humans aren't dumber on that show, okay? We are a dumb collection, though. And I think our collective dumb is potentially more than them. And I enjoy the hell out of that show. The reason why I say this is the dumbest show of all time is because our show does well, and it shouldn't do well, and it makes no sense. And it'll never do well with that guy. I already know it. The guy that we just showed a picture of, old white who likes to run. I can already tell this guy sucks. And you can just go ahead and take a hike because I believe I locked in for 2 years here, I think.
Ooh.
Oh, man, that sucks.
Better get used to it.
Man. 48 weeks a year, 96 weeks you guys are going to have to deal with me in the next...
Over 700 days.
Oh, my God. Do the math.
Good luck.
Oh, poor old white guy who can't change the channel on SiriusXM, which, by the way, has thousands and thousands of other options that I assume don't swear and are boring and suck, and you could go to there anytime you would like. So I just wanted to address that family matter because we do feel as if we are part of the Mad Dog Sports family. Adam Shine, the Morning Men, Chris Mad Dog Russo himself, everybody has reached out. All the people at Sirius have reached out, called us, thanked us, excited for us. But to those old whites, I understand why you're upset. It's been happening to me my entire life. And I would like to let you know, I do not give a fuck. And you will probably come around, I assume. This is just kind of way it goes. Or you won't because you suck and nobody really cares. So keep it moving. We will see you down the road because today, Thursday, September 10th, 2020 is a massive day. You see, I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the East Hills of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is, by all accounts, a diehard football city. Now, we have more bridges than any other city on earth, which is not to be messed with as well, but it is a football city through and through. There is just something about the first day the NFL season is happening. On this particular Thursday and throughout my entire life, opening kickoff day of the NFL season, the air just smells a little better. Smells a little better.
Mummies.
Hey, the coffee just goes down just so much better. Oh, the vitamins get smoked smoother. Your morning leak goes and it gives you that little tickling feeling. Your morning dump comes out smooth and whole. I mean, the opening NFL kickoff day is a celebration. And where I'm from, it's so much of a celebration that there was actually a voice of the city when it came to Pittsburgh. And he created something that is still spinning now in Myron Cope and his terrible towel. And honestly, every morning I wake up and then it's NFL season, I think of old Myron Cope, rest in peace, who had a few DUIs, but it's a double yoy, a triple yoy. And I come from a place that I think is very similar to the other 31 towns that have an NFL team. Or not 31, I guess it's only 29 because there's 2 teams here, 2 teams there, and all that shit. But you get it. It is just a special time of year. And I can't wait for tonight. It has been 221 days since Patty Mahomes won the Super Bowl. 221 days since Patty Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs won a Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers after their incredible playoff run. They were showing a replay this morning, basically, of that Texans-Chiefs game where the Chiefs were down like 24 points, and then they ended up winning by 20. Then after that game, Bill O'Brien named himself general manager as well. A lot of people were confused by the whole thing, but Patrick Mahomes doesn't get $503 million if he doesn't win that game against the Texans in the playoffs. And if he doesn't have another comeback in the Super Bowl, and if we don't have this moment that happened 221 days ago. Since then, a lot has happened. I mean, immediately after this, basically, a lot happened. Coronavirus came out of Wuhan, China. We didn't know what created it. We have no idea how it came to be. All we know is we heard Italy was shutting the fuck down. We heard China was shutting the fuck down. And over here in America, we're like, hey, we got March Madness right around the corner. You go ahead and talk about your flu over there. Little did we know, coronavirus was going to shut down the entire world. It was going to shut down all of sports. Then there was some unrest, obviously, because terrible actions were made by a police officer over there in, George Floyd, Minnesota.
Yeah, Minneapolis.
See, there's so many now. That shouldn't even happen. But then there was protests that led to riots, which led into an election season, which drew our entire country apart. Then there's bubble sports. There's non-bubble sports. There's this, there's that. The last time football was played, we were in a much different world. And I think that is why the NFL kicking off is so damn important, because the NFL is a thing that brings everybody together. fan bases of all races, all ages, from all over the country come together to watch their team hopefully get into the Gladiator Dome and beat the shit out of another city's team. That is what football is at the end of the day. Football is something more so than anything else we have in this country that can rally the troops, that can hopefully make everybody see that this is the greatest game of all time. We are in this thing together. I don't know where you're going to vote in November. I don't know how pissed off you are at what, but I do know that you love the Eagles. I love the Eagles. You love the Indianapolis Colts. I love the Indianapolis Colts. And that is why the NFL is so special, and that is why the NFL had to get back off on time, and the NFL understands that. Now, has the NFL made a lot of great decisions in their past? No. Has the NFL made a lot of good decisions in their past? Yes. They're always going to fuck up because there's humans making decisions, and there's business and all that stuff happening. But the NFL choosing to just go ahead and ford the river, a la the Oregon Trail back in the day, and say, hey, we're not changing the draft. We're not changing anything. We'll get rid of the OTAs, but we're still going to have training camp. We're still going to have a season. We're going to kick off on time, and this coronavirus can eat a big bag of shit. And I'm thankful they did that, because tonight, when Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson take each other on primetime football in front of 17,000 fans in Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh.
It's not in Kansas.
Okay.
It's going to be a sense of normalcy back. And it's also going to showcase two of our young superstars that just made $633 million in combined salaries. That is why Thursday, September 10th is such a damn good day. That is why the NFL getting back on track is such a big deal. Because not only does it bring everybody together, it gives us something to distract ourselves, but also it's a time to escape from all the bullshit and watch the greatest of the greatest play a game that was created by geniuses.
Hell yeah!
We are hammering heavy the Chiefs and that guy tonight, I do believe, but we will talk about that throughout the day. We have great guests, Kyle Rudolph in the X Factor. Dante Hall will be joining us. AJ Hawk will be joining us. We have locks on top of locks, and we have conversation on top of conversation, and let's get to it. 1-888-MAD-DOG-6 if you want to join the call. I think we took like 9 calls yesterday, 10 calls. Some of those old whites weren't happy that we weren't taking enough calls.
That's a lot of calls.
That is a lot.
A lot of calls.
Lines are busy, too.
So we had Aaron Rodgers on the phone yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? AJ Hawk on the phone
AJ
yesterday.
Hawk.
Yep. Mark Schlereth.
Mark Schlereth on the call. 9 randoms on the thing. What's that? That's 12. You do the quick math there that we had in there. I feel like we're doing pretty good. Those old whites from the Mad Dog Radio community that don't like us, get fucked, pal. At Tone Diggs is here. How you doing, Tone? Great hat, bub. I heard you're potentially investing $3,400 in hats this fall because you think it's going to bring you good luck, and you're launching a new gambling show today, Hammered Down at 3 o'clock. It's a big day for you as well.
Yeah, excited. We've always done a gambling show out of this podcast, but now to have Michael Lombardi join us and it actually brings some credibility to it is very nice.
Is that an announcement? Is that breaking news right there?
Michael Lombardi will be joining Hammered Down every single time.
Michael Lombardi, former NFL general manager, former consultant and advisor for the New England Patriots. He's an author. He's a great podcast host and a radio personality. He will be joining Diggs, amongst other humans, I would assume, in this room, Hammered Down every Monday, Thursday, Friday, giving you locks and bets and things like that.
Absolutely correct. And yes, you are correct. I was going to do just a few hats, but you talked me into doing a hat every single week of the NFL season. Which is a lot of money, so I will be taking donations of hats sent to the office.
Yeah, Diggs realized how much money because he said, so this is a classic Diggs. Diggs said something aloud that he was going to do, and then immediately was told some facts and had to backtrack quickly. Hats are $200. You said you wanted one for every single game football was played.
Oh, whoa.
So
interesting.
Then, then you dialed back to, Thursday nights because that's the only time we're on air. And I was like, okay, so that's 17 weeks. It's $3,400 in hats that you're going to have. He's like, well, can I get a hat rack? You're like, absolutely. You're going to need one.
Playoffs, too.
So I hope the hat brings you luck.
Thank
By the
you.
way, if a hat gets hot, I assume you won't go to the next hat.
You cannot.
Yeah. Diggs is one of those guys who's superstitious
1,000%.
when it comes to everything. Yeah, but he wins, though. And Michael Lombardi, I think last year was like 65, 70% or something.
Is that good?
Is that good, you'll say?
Yeah.
He's Italian. Too many Italians on that show, but it should be good.
Seriously.
At Boston Connors wearing the same jersey for the 4th straight day, the Patriots jersey. You are excited about Cam Newton, but you have to be pumped that the NFL is just even coming back in general because there was a time this offseason. Now, listen, we love, according to my source, Schefter. I love Schefter. But there was one time he was on ESPN whenever they were going to keep the draft on time, And Schefter said there was blood in the streets and
Yeah.
there was a real, and Schefter very high up, by the way. If Schefter's saying something, that's not just from Schefter. There is
He knows.
messages
Multiple
coming
sources.
in. I would assume there was a lot of conversation in the NFL offices at some point, like, hey, we have to, everybody else is doing something. We have to change something. And for whatever reason, and I think it's because it is old whites who are very stubborn, okay, much like the ones that hate this show. Old whites are very similar. Like, we're not changing a damn thing. Okay, we won't let people in the stands. That's cool with us, but we're not delaying anything, Connor.
I mean, the fucking NFL is the fucking NFL. Let's just get that straight. It goes on no matter what. And at first, I'll be honest, once Brady left the Patriots, I said, okay, maybe if we miss the season, we miss the season. Now we got Cam Newton. Can't wait. Like you said, I woke up this morning and my morning piss was euphoric.
That-a-boy. That's what you got to do. Ty Schmidt's here. Jason's here. Viva Lazito is here. Foxy's here. If I Die, I Die shirt has taken over the office.
Yeah.
Mr. Mansouri, Gumpy, Nick, Billy, all the team is here. We have to get to a break because on the other side, we have Kyle Rudolph joining us.
Ooh.
Kyle Rudolph, obviously the guy who scored the game winner down there in New Orleans. Some people said he pushed off. I wouldn't have said that.
Controversy.
No.
We asked him about it. He said he did not push off. There was just a little hand joust in there. We'll talk to him about the Vikings football this year and how he feels. Aaron Rodgers yesterday was talking about how he feels as if there was really no drawback to the no off season. He feels like he's in a good rhythm. He said the build-up period was good. The first time in the last 10 years he hasn't had any pain in his arm while throwing, Aaron Rodgers said. We'll see if Kyle Rudolph feels the same way. Superstar, big country, the Minnesota Vikings joins us on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. NFL Kickoff Day, Thursday, September 10th.
Yeah.
Lucky to be here at the Northrop Hall with the incredible crowd. College Game Day is having a blast here. Minnesota has shown up. Row the boat, Sky U Mall, go Gophers. Let's get the axe and keep that thing in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Place is about to lose their minds. Ladies and gentlemen, watch a man maestro a crowd like Coach Lee Corso. Give it to him. Give it to him.
Watch, now he'll say to me, works every time, what?
Every time. You just can't dog pee on a field. This obviously led to a nightmare situation for Luke Logan, who misses the extra point. An absolute pandemonium happened. But in Dwayne Haskins' defense, the Redskins and Dwayne Haskins might never win a game again. That guy's flexing like PJ Fleck a little bit. Good sells a little bit delayed. He got me the throw. Throw the flag. Sell your soul. Who hates Iowa? A lot of hate here in Minnesota, Maria. Hey, you look good, pal. For me, right after we leave this octagon, I'm going to Lake Minnetonka. I'm pulling a swordfish out of there. Then I'm going to stop by Paisley Park. I'm going to pay my respects to Prince in the Purple Rain. Then I'm going to walk into TCF Bank Stadium, and I'm going to say,
Take this one in your face, mother.
The Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
That was lovely.
You see what we did? Did you see what we just did right there? We had a little bumper thing is what that's called. Whoa. Radio. Straight into another song, all controlled by this mouse. Right here.
Impressive.
That's a mass.
I'm not a big tech guy either, so that's massive news for me that I figured that out.
Powerful mouse.
Don't even know how to use this laptop. It just sits here to tell us how we're doing on the YouTube. A lot of comments in there, a lot of members. We appreciate the hell out of that. We are being joined now by a man who's a two-time Pro Bowler. You might remember him from winning the game down in New Orleans, a playoff game that was very vital, very controversial, to be honest, very, very controversial catch. We've been on that since the beginning for our people down there in New Orleans, got to do it. But this guy's a stud, and I can't wait to chat with him. Ladies and gentlemen, tight end for the Minnesota Vikings, Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah! Kyle!
Just one hand, Pat.
Oh, okay. That's on me. I got a chance to talk to Aaron yesterday, division rival for you, but he was talking about how this new schedule, how you guys had to ramp up period. He said his arm feels better than it has for the last 10 years because kind of during the quarantine, he got to get some things right, and then there wasn't as much downtime and then uptime and ramp up time. Do you feel the same way? Because I thought there was a chance that football was going to suck, but he was like basically pitching it the complete opposite direction.
You know, I would agree in that, you know, most people would assume without 4 preseason games, you know, just no OTAs, no mini camp, you might not feel as prepared going into week 1. But, you know, we had that 2-week ramp up period. We probably had more training camp practices than we've ever had because when you're in a preseason schedule, you know, it forces you the day before the game, really the day of the game if you're not playing a whole lot of snaps. And the day after the game are kind of like off days. So you think about it, we've been going 6 out of 7 days instead of 4 out of 7 days. So, you know, Coach Zimmer did a good job for us. We did a 2-quarter scrimmage down in the stadium a couple weeks ago to get the feel. You know, I took 36, 38 reps. So, you know, that's probably the most I would have ever taken in a preseason game.
What were your stats? How'd you do?
Oh, I think I had 1 grab. So, you know, typical preseason game, you know, you want to get in, get out, get your hands on the ball. And
36 snaps, 1 catch. Is Kyle Rudolph no longer a part of the Minnesota Vikings offense? Wait a minute, Kyle. So you feel good, huh? Body feels good, feels ready to rock?
I do, yeah. I feel like physically, and another thing, too, that I know I'm talking to a couple of the guys in the locker room this week, you know, mentally, normally at this point, you think about it, you've been going since the middle of April, and, you know, you have that OTA mini camp. It's not a physical grind, but you're still in the meeting room all the time, and you're mentally thinking about football all day, every day. So guys mentally feel fresh right now, and it's like we can't believe that, you know, we're going to play a game. It's the middle of September, early September, because normally at this point, you know, you've been grinding for a long time mentally, and I feel like guys feel really fresh heading into the week 1.
How do you feel about primetime Kirk Cousins saying, if I die, I die? That is, I did not know that about Kirk Cousins. I did not know that he got attacked for that, obviously, and I did not know he was going to get attacked. I think he said all the right things, and I think his quote was potentially taken out of context, and the people didn't hear his entire quote, and they just started attacking him because that's the world we live in right now. But him just going, if I die, I die, that is a Kirk Cousins that I did not know exists. I'm like, this guy is a savage. What have you seen out of Kirk Cousins this year? Last year, got a lot of weight off of his back. I mean, wins a primetime playoff game, wins down in Jerry World, has success, more success than he's ever had, and he looked better than he's ever looked. Did the "if I die, I die" quote from him raise any eyebrows in the locker room? And how does Kirk Cousins look this year?
You know, Kirk's had a good camp. There's definitely that fiery side that, you know, we see competing against our defense all through training camp. You know, he likes to mix it up with those guys. You know, he gets competitive, gets a little fiery. So you see that "if I die, I die" come out of him at practice from time to time. And, you know, like you said, he played really well in a lot of big games for us last year. Down in Dallas on Sunday Night Football, obviously the playoff game in New Orleans. And we all knew the narrative, you know, that Kirk can't win big games. Kirk can't win primetime games on the road. And it's up to the 10 other guys on offense to play well and hold up our end of the bargain, because he played so well in all the big games last year. He gave us a chance to win every one of them.
Isn't it hilarious, though, that like back in the day, I would assume media people and even athletes would be like, no, I don't read my press clippings, dude. I don't know that anybody's talking about me not doing that. Like, that was something going in, I would assume, into Dallas. I think Dallas was the big game that everybody was like, okay, Kirk Cousins, primetime Kirk Cousins has been birthed from Jerry World. That is what happened. But that conversation, was it ever anything that Kirk Cousins ever talked about? Or was it just something that was just understood? Did you ever feel anything different out of him in those games that he knew that he was going to get judged upon immediately, whether or not he played well or not, just on a win or a loss?
No, and I feel like, like you said, you have the guys that are always like, oh, I don't read what the media says. I don't hear it. In today's world, that's not possible. Like you're going to see it. You're going to hear it. But I think our locker room, our offense was probably even more aware of it, like I said, because it was our responsibility as the 10 other guys on offense, defense, special teams. We all had to. Kirk can't just go win the game by himself. Football is one of the unique sports where one person can't just take over the game and it doesn't matter what else happens around him. You need the 10 other guys on the field with you to make you look better, to make you play better, but also to hold up their end and make sure they're getting their assignment done. So I would say the rest of our offense was kind of more aware of it and really wanted to squash that last year than he was.
Well, you definitely did. And you also just called basketball a selfish sport, which I can't believe Kyle Rudolph is going out to.
Hey, I'm a former basketball player. I'll be the first one to just ISO everybody get out of my way. I'm taking the ball here.
You're right, though. It takes everybody. I mean, a long snapper can ruin a game for somebody, and then the quarterback will get joined. I mean, it is such a minuscule task, which is going to be interesting this year with special teams because young guys probably never played preseason or never played special teams, no preseason. I mean, that's where there's going to be a lot of eyebrows raised. Let's talk about the losses you guys had. Never want to look in the past. Hey, spaceships don't come equipped with rearview mirrors, dog. They dip. But you guys had a great year last year. Stefanski gone. Diggs gone. How has been the adjustment? And you guys got a rookie. You drafted a wide receiver, right? Who did
Justin Jefferson?
Justin Jefferson, who's
Justin
a stud,
Jefferson.
right? How has he been fitting in the role? I would assume nobody replaces anybody, but I would assume another weapon there is good for the offense.
Absolutely. And, he's a guy that came in a unique situation with no off season. We didn't have the OTAs and minicamp practices that we would normally have. But, we were able to get together pre-training camp in one of those like player-led deals that Brady got in trouble for having in Tampa. We did one of those in Minnesota.
Whoa.
So that was the first time I got to see Justin, and he's a special talent. He's a first-round pick for a reason. Very explosive, good route runner. So I'm excited to see him get to go out there and play live for the first time.
Kyle, have you had a chance to go up against Mr. Ngakoue yet? And how good does it feel that you're in an organization where a guy will take like $6 million less to get out of another organization to come to yours?
Don't need it, he says.
He's along those lines as well. Talking about Justin and how explosive Justin is. He's the same way. Yannick is super explosive. Has been one of the most disruptive pass rushers in our league over the last few years. And, it says a lot about our organization that somebody's willing to come here for less. But it also speaks to Rick Spielman and our front office that, when they see an opportunity, they know it's our time to win now, and they're willing to go out and get a player who hopefully is here for a long time, but realistically, it could just be here for a year. So, to give up a couple draft picks and know that, we got a chance to win now, it speaks volumes of Rick and the way that he's always going to give our team the best opportunity to go win games.
Yeah, and the Vikings are an organization that goes for it. I mean, a brand new stadium just a few years ago, and we've asked every player about this because to me, it is a very intriguing part of the storyline, especially for veteran guys who have accomplished a lot. The no fans thing. I don't know what do you guys do? I don't know what the rules are. None. So is that just indefinitely?
As of right now, it's the first two. So we have 2 home games in the month of September, both of which will be with no one in attendance.
So you guys have been doing the 70 decibels at practice. How has that been?
It's different. Like I said, we had that scrimmage down in the stadium where we did the 2 quarters, and We did one quarter where it was as if we were the home team, and you kind of get the feel as an offense, the lower decibel level. And then the second quarter as if we were an away team, and you get the higher decibel level. But it's not near, there won't be a home field advantage for teams that don't have fans in the stands just because you have crowd noise. It's basically just takes away the silence of an empty stadium, if you would.
Listen, I know every football player is supposed to try as hard as they can on every snap for the love of the game. But with your position, you're hitting people, you're getting slammed. Is there going to be any trouble for you at all to flip the switch that it's real? It's not like I don't know. I think that makes sense when I'm asking you. I'm not sure if everybody else will understand that, but it is a little bit difficult, I think, to kind of flip that switch, especially if there's zero energy in the entire stands.
Absolutely. I think football is a game, again, that's extremely unique in that, you go out there and you put your body on the line and you do things when the adrenaline's flowing that, you might not do in a practice or a scrimmage. And I'll be curious to see, as a team, we're going to have to kind of feed off one another's energy and bring that energy, because you're not going to be able to get it from 65,000 fans in that environment. So, it's kind of that whole, you got to bring your own energy. We got to feed off one another. And I think it'll go a long way if you make, big plays early in the game to kind of create some energy.
Is the Viking going to blow that horn still, or no Viking blow, or no?
I'm sure they'll have somebody. Who knows? In today's world, it'll probably be virtual.
Not right.
Oh, no. He was asking for a pay raise a couple years ago. They almost kicked his ass out of town. Yeah. Now they're like, you can't even blow the damn horn.
He's gone.
Yeah, Kyle,
I think he actually threatened to go be a Green Bay fan.
Oh, man. Go ahead.
Kyle, another elite tight end, Zach Ertz, is working on trying to stay in Philadelphia for the remainder of his career. How important is it to you to start and finish in Minnesota?
Well, it's something that, as a young player, as a player early on in your career, you don't really think about. But then now as, I've been here for 10 years, you start to establish roots. My family's here. My kids go to school here. This has become home for us. And as you become entrenched in the community, that becomes that much more important. And for me, I said it last year when I signed my extension with a year left on my current contract that free agency was never appealing to me. I never had a desire to go play for any other organization. The way that our organization is run from the top down, starting with our ownership and the Wilf family, Rick Spielman, Rob Brzezinski, Coach Zimmer, there's no desire for me to want to go anywhere else. And I think, that is evident in, seeing how many guys have either stayed here or, in the Ngakoue situation, come here for less money because they just want to be a part of this organization.
10 years. Hey.
Yeah,
Wow.
Hey, obviously very, very wealthy, but that's not normal at all. Congratulations. There's only, those stats that they give out for the percentage of athletes that last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years is a very, very, very small number. Congratulations, especially at tight end. That ain't easy. That's not easy at all.
Thank you.
Does body feel old?
You know what? I feel good. I think it's one of the things that as you get older, you get wiser and you learn how to take care of your body. And with March Madness being canceled this year, we didn't party in Vegas like we normally do together, Pat. You feel good going into the season.
Bingo. Life feels a lot better without that type of stuff going on. 10 years ago, though, you were at Notre Dame. Obviously, Notre Dame. Lou Holtz, shout out Lou Holtz and whoever was your coach at the time and everything like that. There was a report that came out on Sports Illustrated, or one of Sports Illustrated's affiliates, that Notre Dame pretty much saved college football, because when the Big Ten and Pac-12, and this is not our words, okay, this is being reported by people who are paid to report stuff, who actually check it and all that shit. So allegedly the Big Ten, whenever they and the Pac-12 decided to postpone the season, they thought they were going to be heralded as heroes, and they thought that the ACC the next day was going to do the exact same. They for some reason, I don't know if it was a conversation. And then the story goes that Notre Dame called the ACC immediately upon hearing about the Big Ten and Pac-12 and said, hey, let's work something out. Let's figure this out. So we'll join the ACC either later or something like that. And the ACC was like, okay, we get an NBC national primetime game every single week. We have this whole thing in the future. We should definitely do that. And it potentially saved college football. At this point, with what you've done with the NFL here, with the testing and how the whole process has gone, do you think there is a safe way to go throughout this entire season that college football could definitely do and easily replicate?
It's harder for them just simply on the fact, for us, we have daily testing. The numbers have been published with the, thousands of tests that players and staff have had over the last 6 weeks. I know most of the people in college football, I think, are maybe testing a couple times a week. The thing with daily testing is, you compare it to, virus comes in, one person has it. If you have to wait 2 or 3 days to get tested, there's a greater chance for that to really get throughout the course of your team. To whereas in the NFL, with us being tested every day, immediately if somebody tests positive, them and everyone that they've been around is now kept out of the building. So I do think, and the positivity comes from, the numbers that we've had over the last 6 weeks. I think less than 10 people have tested positive, player and staff, throughout the entire NFL.
Here we go! Here we go! It's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us.
So, being that we've done it for 6 weeks, and it's not like everybody's been in a hotel for training camp and we've been isolated from our families. We've done this for 6 weeks, and I don't see why that would change now as we move forward throughout a 17-week season, and also and through college football, because I know they're very adamant about the testing as well.
Okay. Well, Kyle, you just made me feel very good. Good luck this weekend. I hope you have a great game. I hope you do very, very well. If you could make sure Aaron Rodgers also has a good game, because he's joining us next Tuesday. So if you could tell the boys in the back end, let them come and do a sim. But you guys get to win. That'd be very, very good. You know what I mean?
Sounds good. Thanks,
hey, you're a very, very good guy. Congrats on the extension. Congrats on 10 years. Thanks for joining us. And you're the man.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, two-time Pro Bowler Kyle Rudolph with a hell of a push-off last playoff. Kyle, had to do it. See you, man. Appreciate you.
See you. Thank you.
He's a good dude.
Hey, you guys partying in Vegas for March Madness, huh?
We had a good time. We had a good time together, yeah.
He had this friend or bodyguard. I don't know who he was, but he was an electric show.
Yeah, it was normally. So what happens in those types of situations is you see somebody you know, and then I'll have my group of friends with me.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably have a group with them. And then we go and like do something, and then my friends immediately hate that group or like the group, right? So it's like one or the other. And that normally causes like the duration of us hanging out. Does that make sense? So normally it's like a quick, like, hey, what's up? Let's have a drink. And then we'll kind of bounce back to our part of the dance floor or the bar, wherever we're at. But that was good. Like we got along with their group. We were together for, I think, 5 hours one night, 6 hours. Yeah. So I know a lot about him. Good
Ripping
guy.
it up.
Good time. Good time, Kyle Rudolph, and very, very, very good at football.
Yes.
I mean, he's unbelievable at football. I would like the Packers Aaron Rodgers to have a great game this weekend, because I would like him to feel good. And maybe, no, I don't want to say it because I got Kirk on my shirt. And I just talked to him, and I assume there's a lot of Vikings fans watching. But you have to understand, for selfish reasons, I would like the Packers to win because I want Aaron Rodgers to be very happy on Tuesday because he's coming on the show. So you understand that for the good of the show, I would like the Packers to win.
Team Rodgers.
But primetime Kirk Cousins was born last year, and that is something that cannot go understated. At primetime, Kirk Cousins wins a playoff game in New Orleans with a packed house that is not easy to win. Not easy to win down there. And he won on Jerry World, and he was throwing the ball all over the yard last year. They could be a problem in that NFC North. They got better this offseason.
Not to mention, if he dies, he dies. He doesn't care. He'll do anything for the win.
Yeah, Listen, what if Kirk Cousins becomes Ryan Fitzpatrick all of a sudden? What if he starts running his face into people because he says, if I die, I die?
How much of a disadvantage, though, do you think it is with no fans for the Vikings? Because I just feel, I mean, with you playing in a dome, too, like...
It's loud there, man. It is very loud there. As I was listening to him talk and I was thinking about the Viking Stadium, I remembered walking into that place. It is gorgeous. That stadium is gorgeous. Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's more suites on the field level, I think, than I've ever seen, including Dallas, because Dallas has kind of like a down thing. They have suites on there. They have mid-level suites, and the fans were hanging out after the game, and we won because it was negative 15 outside. They just hang out in the stadium until it closes. Like it was awesome, and they had this big ass horn that they blew, and then they did
that's what I'm saying. They can't do the
chant. I mean, it was an electric environment over there. And then I started thinking about whenever we would do, like our last practice for OTAs or one of our training camp practices would be open to the fans in the stadium though, and I would have a punt period, and it was like kind of like probably about how many is going to be in some place, like 17,000 people there, probably 10,000 people there. They all got a free meal and got a chance to watch our practice, which are very boring. But special teams periods always happened. And I always like tried to treat it like it was a game because you're in the stadium and, get a chance to read the wind a little bit more or whatever. And I remember like it just being weird because it's like a practice. You feel like you're at a practice because you can hear people talking still. I would assume since there's a lot of money on the line, a Super Bowl on the line, but there's going to be some OGs that have been around a long time. And this is what LeBron said immediately upon being asked if he's going to play without fans in the NBA. And he said, I ain't playing without fans. The only reason I play, because the younger guys like, hey, I'm in the NFL. I'm going to get some money. Let's do this. They're going to be hyped up. But those older guys who've been around a long time, and maybe they do need a little boost from like the fans, like to remember, like this is game day. Okay, you need that. There's not going to be that. We're going to see a lot of mental toughness tested by some people here on whether or not they can get up with these empty ass stadiums.
We talked before, like wait until October, end of October, and like a team's like 2-6 or something like that, and there's no fans in the standstill. Maybe like that's going to be tough to. That's going to be tough to play.
All right. We got Kyle Rudolph, early guest. Can't thank him enough. Got a chance to talk to the boys. We covered the Mad Dog Sports Radio fans hating us, potentially some of them.
Yep.
But what we haven't talked about is sidebar. Bring it in. Let's go. Let's have a show. Here we go. The NFL's back. We covered that. The Super Boost tonight. We got a big-ass Super Boost that we are hammering this evening at FanDuel. Patrick Mahomes to throw 300 touchdowns.
He might. That'd be pretty good.
He might.
Take the over.
300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the Chiefs win. It went from plus 170 to plus 270. Ooh. Yeah, $50 max bet, get more than double your money. That feels like something that's going to happen. And I know the number 300 sounds large. Yeah. But if you look at anything that they did last year, and if you look at the betting trends for Super Bowl winning teams or Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in home field advantage in the opening night, the Super Bowl winning quarterback normally wins the game. That is just how it goes. Now, I remember the Eagles a few years ago, they just shit the bed. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And the fans were booing. The Eagles fans who were so passionate, they just shit the bed. The Eagles shit the bed, and the fans were booing them on their Super Bowl banner celebration night. That is just the most Philadelphia thing of all time. Aside, I'm not even going to bring up what they did to Santa Claus. I'm not even going to talk about my situation I had with them when it was the first game back after my suspension for an alleged event, and I got a chance to see the entire wide range of a Philadelphia Eagles fans' emotions, where I was welcomed with open arms at the beginning of the game. One Philadelphia Eagles fan actually said to me, like, hey, there's nothing wrong with having a few of these and going for a swim, and then chugged his beer, okay? And that was an entire section, like, cheering for me. I'm like, thank you. I had a good punt. My first punt back, pin him at the 1. I come back. That same person is yelling at me, telling me to go fuck myself. So I literally got a chance to experience in a personal fashion the Philadelphia Eagles fans. But aside from that, the Super Bowl champ normally wins. Now, the Patriots have lost a couple times in that thing. Oh, yeah. But if you look back like 18 years, what are the stats, Diggs?
Reigning Super Bowl champs are 17-3 straight up and 13-5-2 against the spread in the next season's opener.
So it's 9.5 tonight. The Chiefs are giving 9.5 to the Texans. That's a lot of points. That is a lot of points. But if you look at the trends, you look at the history, and you think about what the Kansas City Chiefs have done this offseason and getting better, and some would say the Texans potentially got worse. Now, they signed Deshaun Watson to a long-term deal, got a little stability at quarterback. Good for them. Something that the Dallas Cowboys couldn't do. They were in that state with a quarterback who's going to be much more expensive now because the Deshaun Watson deal got done. They get rid of their best wide receiver who just signed a 2-year deal out in Arizona and negotiated that deal himself, by the way. They add David Johnson, who David Johnson gets a chance to get back into a system that he succeeded in. Kind of Billy O'Brien and Bruce Arians' system is the same. But many would say that the Texans did not get better this offseason. And the Chiefs somehow did get better this offseason. They locked down everybody. They made everybody happy that they had to make happy. And it feels like the Chiefs are on this arrow up still, even after riding an incredible wave through the playoffs of comebacks and magical moments in beating the 49ers after having a loss or being down in basically every single game. It feels like the Chiefs are just hot right now. It just feels like there's nothing going to slow them down. And they had the same amount of offseason as everybody else. Normally, after you win a Super Bowl, there's a lot of celebrating, I would assume. Never got to do it. I lost Super Bowl and I celebrated the hell out of it. So there's a lot of celebrating. And you can kind of get caught up in that, you don't fully get back or get the rest and get your team ready. But this year it was a delay. Everybody had the same exact amount of time. Everybody had the same rules, basically be locked down in your house. You can't do anything. I feel like all those things potentially benefit a team that was hottest at the end of the season last year. And Patrick Mahomes said openly that he had no idea how to read a defense until midway through last season. They go win a fucking Super Bowl, by the way, after that. I just don't know if he slows down. I love Deshaun Watson. I think he's magical. And it feels like 9.5 is a lot.
Here it comes.
Oh, no way.
Chiefs minus 9.5.
Oh! Hammer!
And I'm not alone, by the way, Diggs. There is a lot of money on it. I think 70% or 60% of the money is on that thing.
Yeah, let me pull it up right now. So right now, 57% of the bets and 61% of the money's on KC.
Which would mean, by the way, that I'm probably not going to win. As soon as you hear those stats, that means probably not good.
Not good.
But in this particular fashion, because of everything I just said, one team got better. Seems like another team potentially either stayed the same or got worse after they lose their number one wide receiver. And are they going to be able to bring back David Johnson of the past and in the future? I'm not 100% sure about that. Feels like the Chiefs are just going to go ahead and do this thing tonight.
As long as the money is higher than the bets, you're good there. And then also, Brandon Cooks is questionable. The Chiefs' first-round draft pick last year, who got hurt in Week 16, Juan Thornhill, the safety who was playing incredible at the end of the year, he's back for them. I mean, I think Patty Mahomes is 7-0 against the spread in his last 7 games.
How about that?
That's why they had it at 9.5, by the way.
Yeah.
It was probably supposed to be like 6.5 or something like that. And they're like, this fucking son of a bitch. So he go ahead and up that thing 3. 9.5 is a lot, especially on opening night. We have no idea what to expect. There'll be 17,000 fans in the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium. There'll be a much different environment. Who knows what's going to happen before the game, during the game, after the game. But I do know, off the field I'm saying, but I do know that they're going to win by at least 9.5. I feel good about it, too. I'm going to come in tomorrow undefeated in NFL picks. Our Super Boost is going to hit over there as well. I mean, we're just going to come in just swimming into money to start this whole thing early.
Feels good knowing that you're going to win cash going into the
It does.
But even with Cooks being questionable, doesn't it take a few games to get a chemistry between your quarterback and your number one wide receiver?
You asked that to Aaron yesterday, how long it takes is training camp enough time?
And I think Aaron tried to answer that in a fashion that was humble. But you got to remember, Aaron Rodgers literally throws balls into buckets.
Yeah.
So
The pocket.
that's why Jordan Love looks so bad, by the way, in these videos, because the drill that they're doing is an accuracy drill. And he's following probably the most accurate passer in the history of the NFL. I mean, that is what Aaron Rodgers is. I mean, he puts a ball in a bucket from 80 yards away or 15 yards away. So I think that is potentially why he didn't have to learn him. Like, watching Peyton build up the chemistry with the wide receivers was really awesome to watch. We're talking so many reps. I mean, it was just so many reps, because he was throwing to a spot because he didn't have as strong of an arm whenever I was with him. I don't know if he ever was known for having a strong arm, aside from that commercial that said 6'5" laser rocket arm. His thing was all about dropping it in a spot, but he had to know when and where the wide receiver was going to be there. So that was repped out so much. And that's why Peyton was considered so damn good, because a lot of his throws were, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. He knew exactly what the defense was going to do. He knew all that shit. He ran our entire building and all that stuff. But a lot of those throws, he's throwing before people even break. And that's why the wide receiver and the DB had no chance, basically, because neither of them knew the ball was going to be there until they both turned their heads and the ball was already there. That took a lot. I think there's different styles of quarterback play, though. I'm not sure everybody throws like Peyton. I think Aaron is a guy who obviously can zip it and he can put it in there. But does Deshaun Watson have to get his timing out? I would assume. But would you play a guy on a Thursday night game when you know you have another 10 days if his hamstring or whatever injury, what does he have, quad? What is it?
It was quad, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, if he has a quad injury and it's like you're like right there and it's week 1 and he's going to be your guy.
Chiefs.
Like, do you even put him in there? That's like the Mike Evans situation. Like, Mike Evans has a hamstring injury down there in Tampa, and they're like, he's questionable. It's like, well, you have a lot of weapons down there. It's week 1. I mean, you're playing the Saints, so it's a big game. It's a division game. You have to win your division games. That's just the way it goes. But if you have all your other weapons, and why would you risk it week 1? Why would you blow out the hamstring and not just, hey, let's give you 1-2 more weeks here of rehab? Because muscles, by the way, especially for these guys, 2 weeks is an eternity, basically, to kind of get them healthy. But it's all about necessity. And maybe they need Brandon Cooks to come back at 80% or whatever he's at tonight. And maybe they need Mike Evans. I don't think they do, but maybe they do.
Plus, with those two guys, like those are wide receivers who have had some injuries in their career. So like those are the guys that you would maybe sit out a week just so that we got a lot of season left.
Hey, we got a lot of time left here.
Plenty.
I would be so pumped if I'm playing Thursday night, by the way.
Yeah.
The only thing that sucks is you got to go to training camp 3 days earlier. But I would be so pumped to be playing it. You get 2 bye weeks because they get an extended weekend here now to watch football, to watch all the other teams. Then they probably go back in there on Monday, and then Tuesday off, and then Wednesday they're back in. This is a good thing especially this year, because of nobody had OTAs or spring or anything like that. Because if you play to the Super Bowl like the Chiefs have, and then you have Thursday, I mean, that's only like 3 days less, but the Super Bowl is February now. You got a lot shorter time to recover, get the bodies right, and get back reacclimated into, we're going into season mode. But that team feels like they are locked and loaded over there. Run it back is what Patty Mahomes said. Run that thing back. They're ready. They are ready.
We never talked about this, but I believe it came out last week, and I wanted to get your opinion on like the players' side of this. So players that play in the game can't go into the facility the next day unless it's for treatment or rehab or something like that. Does that mean anything to you guys?
I saw Thomas Morstead said this makes no sense. Test guys on game day so they can get into the facility because the rehab starts the day after. Now, I don't know what teams have what, but the Toradol's wearing off too that next day. If you are on a team that is smart. Now, granted, who knows about the long-term effects of people taking that. But if you're a team that's like, hey, we do offer Toradol to our players if they have an injury because it is an anti-inflammatory. That's all it is. It happens to be the best one to ever exist and makes your whole body feel good. But yeah, the next morning, like cold tub and rehab and all that it's huge because you have to get on that as soon as because now if you delay that another day, then what? Now you're getting pushed back this way. So it's kind of, it kind of fucks up a lot of stuff. Thomas Morris, I saw him tweet about it like, hey, we got to be able to figure this out. So.
Are they testing right after the game on Sundays?
I don't think so.
They should be.
No, they're not testing on game days. That's why they have to be off the next day.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's going to be. That's potentially going to be problematic.
Probably going to change.
Yeah, it's probably going to be problematic. That legit.
They have to test right after.
Yeah, and by the way, this particular ad that I'm about to read is going to help out the guys a lot, actually.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You ever heard of Whoop?
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Whoop is a fitness wearable that provides daily personalized insights to you on your sleep recovery and how much stress you put on your body throughout the day from both your daily activity and the normal stresses of your life. I wore this through my lead up to my wedding when I got in the best shape of my life, and then through my wrestling match, which I would still be undefeated if it wasn't for that match. And I was in the best shape of my life, knowing how much I slept the night before, just so I knew exactly how much energy I had, knowing what my heart rate would get up to, and I think it even gives you your metabolic rate and things that you're probably burning off throughout the day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you want to learn a little bit more about you to become a much more healthy person, Whoop is the only way to do it, and it gives you accurate, cool readings to it. It displays it in a fashion that's very understandable. I learned more about me in those 6 weeks than I ever have in my life, thanks to our friends at Whoop. The app is also a sleep coach. It'll teach you or tell you how long you've been sleeping, what your desired recovery level should be, everything like that. It is very awesome. It reads your body. It attaches to your wrist. You just put on a little bracelet thing. It looks pretty cool, and everything you need to know about you comes in one easy-to-read thingy. Whoop is offering 15% off when you use the code McAfee at checkout. Go to WHOOP.com and enter code McAfee to save 15%. Sleep better, recover faster, and train smarter with Whoop today. It is awesome.
No joke.
It is
A lot of info.
Great app, too.
I'm not wearing it right now because I'm not in as good a shape as I was during the wedding and the wrestling, and I don't want to hear about it from Whoop because I think Whoop would hold me accountable for what I had done in the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it starts to read you a little bit. It makes you better, and it says, hey, you did this yesterday. Why don't you do this today? It is a motivator on your wrist and a knowledgeable little piece of information that you should.
It'll say your body's primed for workout. Get after it.
All right, hour one is wrapping up here. We have Dante Hall, Kansas City Chief legend, joining us at 1:05 here in about 10 minutes. He'll be joining us.
Hopefully.
We'll also take some calls, 1-888 Dog 6. Go ahead and call in and join us there. And also, we'll have more conversations about everything we potentially missed. Young quarterbacks are being named captain all over the league. Dwayne Haskins, Kyler Murray, Joey Burrow, all named captains. That's a big fucking deal. And everybody's like, well, quarterback's going to be named captain. No, that's not. I don't think that's an accurate statement, especially when there's Alex Smith in the building and other people like that. There is a lot of things to talk about there. Dana White calls out other leagues about them not testing properly or allowing people to play with it. I don't know where his sources are from, but that's a big deal. The Patriots offered Aqib Talib a role to cover strictly tight ends. Will that be a new position that defenses start to use? I would assume. Raptors force a Game 7, college football news, and an NBA player seduced a COVID tester. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. We can't wait to join you on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, September 10th.
His top target, the burner on play one, puts the Cougs on top.
What a start here in New Orleans, Adam. Everybody talked about De'Ara King being a runner. The Tulane defense knew that. It almost felt like he was going to do it. Then he pulled electrifying fashion, Matt.
The fridge, Pat, is back to punt. Ryan Wright.
I love this man. 6'3", 255. And he hits a
Wow.
bomb for the Brand. The fridge saw his team was in trouble, trotted out on the field, and hit a bomb.
Yeah, and I walked all the way through here, down here, sweating profusely, I'd assume. Up an elevator back here that will be loaded with humans. All the way down here, into here, kickoff. Let's call it football. Yeah.
That is absolutely magical for the Brand and for Dane Roy. They had 2 returners the entire first half. They put one back there. The ball goes over his head. Perfect bounce, perfect coverage. Good for the University of Houston.
Sound didn't work. Back to the booth. If I'm in a student section or in a weird place, maybe a remote area, and you have my mic on, ready to roll, my mic on, ready to roll, my mic on. So the sound didn't work on the field. So now we're sprinting up to the booth to get the wheel open. We don't have the sound works up there either. My makeup's all off. I thought I looked good. It's been melted off my face. We're off to a hot start in humid New Orleans. You're gonna go. I'm gonna be so winded on that. How's it going, boys? Put it brave! Oh yeah, man. Put it brave!
McMillan.
What a tunnel for McCluskey
McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Speaking his mind
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
while being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Well, all right. Hour 2 kicks off with a Twine beat drop. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here Thursday, September 10th, NFL season kickoff day. Yeah. Chiefs and Texans will play the football tonight. Chiefs are -9.5. We have all agreed in this room, which is not great.
Yeah, true.
Not great to hammer the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes tonight. And I think even more so after listening to that SiriusXM Sports Update where Patrick Mahomes just said in a virtual training room tour with SiriusXM, whatever, or training camp tour with SiriusXM, he said that having that relationship and that bond, and Andy Reid can expand on things and everybody knows what that is. The more and more you think about that, and then you think about a new running back in Houston, the number 1 wide receiver gone, Brandon Cooks questionable. If he gets ruled out, go ahead and assume that line's going to bump up another point maybe to 10.5. The more and more you think about it, it would make no sense if the Texans were even in this game tonight. And that is no offense to the Texans. I think the Texans are probably going to be able to figure it out. I think Deshaun Watson's a good football player. I do believe the AFC South is going to be difficult. But the more and more you think about my style of betting, which is the humans, the Kansas City Chiefs team, 221 days ago they won a Super Bowl together. Then what's that mean? Probably 217 days ago they were on buses driving through Kansas City with snowboard goggles on, chugging beers together, celebrating together, slamming beers together, celebrating together, having the absolute time of their life together. Then that only, I assume, grew through their Zoom calls this offseason that they probably had, in the celebrations that they had, in the moments that they had. That Super Bowl team for the Indianapolis Colts back in 2005, I think, maybe 2006, whatever it was, when they beat the hell out of the Bears down in Florida. Whenever the Indianapolis Colts just beat the hell out of the Bears down there. That team still comes together at the Colts facility. They still have reunions. They still have that bond where they win. So this team, they somehow keep 18 of 22 starters. They have that bond. They've been together. They didn't miss out on anything because of the quarantine. Everybody's still there. Same offensive coordinator, same Andy Reid, same building, and the same MVP quarterback. It would make no sense if this wasn't a 20-point blowout tonight, now that I think about this.
So minus 20.
Now that I think about this, tease this thing, maybe.
Buy it up.
Yeah, maybe up to 13.
Might as well.
Really, because I mean, the defense, they got J.J. Watt back, who came back from a broken freaking back last year, which was very impressive. But for me, it just feels like that synergy that the Chiefs have, they got better. Their offense is going to look probably better than everybody else's because they already know everything that's happening. I just don't know. I don't know how this is even a close one. Joining us now, Kansas City Chiefs legend, a man known as the X Factor, I believe. No, he's not on. I was just told he was on.
He's getting comfy right now. He's trying to find a good spot in his house.
Oh, okay. So he's hitting the circle button.
Yeah,
he's spin moving. Yeah. He's bumping out of tackles. I mean, he's doing everything he possibly can, probably high-stepping into the end zone a little bit. In an electric factory. A man who changed the game on special teams as a returner for the Kansas City Chiefs for a long time. I got a chance to meet him at the draft. He was announcing one of the Kansas City's Chiefs draft picks, which I assume is doing very well for their team now, because that is what Veach and Andy Reid do. The Kansas City Chiefs have somehow put together a team with great draft picks, great contract usage, great free agents brought in, and they've been doing this for a long, long time. And now they are Super Bowl champions. They're Super Bowl champions in hosting the NFL season kickoff this evening. Okay, Jesus.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the X Factor, Dante Hall.
Yeah! Dante!
Oh, wow.
Woo. You see me flexing. You see me.
What is that right there, Dante? Oh, Oh, man, he's flexing a Super Bowl ring right in our face right now on
Flex.
the camera stream. How are you, Dante? You got to feel good about this Chiefs team. Hey, the Chiefs not only win a Super Bowl, not only do they have an incredible celebration, the world shuts down, but now we're back. Everybody got signed. Patrick Mahomes just said that Andy Reid can add on to the concepts that we had last year. 18 of 22 starters. It's got to feel good to be a part of the Chiefs kingdom right now.
It really does, man. And for the longest, we wasn't able to feel like a winning organization, even though the organization has always been a winning organization. We just didn't have the Super Bowl and the AFC championships and things of those nature to go along with that. And now, I mean, you can proudly say I'm a Kansas City Chiefs Kingdom fan or a Kansas City Chiefs native or whatever, and say it with pride, man. It feels great for sure.
What have you been hearing out of training camp? We just heard Patrick. Oh, is that the Super Bowl ring you just put down? Was that the Super Bowl ring?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Did you hear that thing?
bricks.
Why? Now, how'd you get one? Because you're a legend.
Hey, man. Be careful with the questions you ask.
Ah!
The questions you ask.
I was about to say.
They gave a select ambassadors rings. They still have me in the fold of the organization. They still keep me in the loop with everything. And we have an amazing ambassador program. So a select few guys were able to get some. Some of the staff got some, obviously the coaches and the players. So, yeah, man, they took care of pretty much the essential Kansas City Chiefs staffs, players, and former players.
Well, I'll tell you what, I would say that the X Factor Dante Hall is essential to the Kansas City Chiefs brand, especially at this point. I mean, Dante, your name is synonymous with the program, but now the program is going to, or organization is going to brand new heights. What have you been hearing out of training camp? Because the only thing that we've talked about is how the hell have they figured out this salary cap to keep everybody happy and everybody paid? What have you been hearing out of training camp? I would assume things are going smooth and the team looks great?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's going to be a good one.
That answer was the one we were looking for
I
our
know.
fucking bet tonight.
Yeah, that's what we needed.
That was literally the only answer we needed right there.
He was about to rip it
How
off.
does because you remember Tom Curran joined our show last week, and he was at New England Patriot training camp for the last few months or whatever, and he said team looks bad,
Terrible, yeah.
He said terrible. It was like a heartbreaker for Connor.
chance.
Oh, yeah, real heartbreaker.
He said he was absolutely, and we're like, oh my God, are the Patriots going to be bad? And even though Tom said that, nobody in the room even blinked an eye, and they were like, yeah, they still got Bill Belichick to figure it out. But if they end up stinking and winning very little amount of games, like Tom Curran thinks it's going to, we heard it here first from Tom Curran, because the eyes in the training camp are a big deal. And now he's not on, still not on.
Right now, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Just has poor connection.
So what? It was the only answer we needed right there.
Yeah.
He was on it, too.
Well, because you think about it, the Kansas City Chiefs gave a bunch of Super Bowl rings to ambassadors. Like, if the Colts win a Super Bowl this year, am I?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Really? I get a Super Bowl?
You're an
ring?
How
ambassador.
could you not?
I announced a draft pick, I guess. They
You
had
smashed
they had
the hammer?
I hit the hammer
hit
a
the
couple
hammer?
times.
The playoff party?
I
You did
kicked
that whole
I
thing?
kicked the thing. I kicked the
Yeah.
thing as an old man
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I would think so, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Pep rally?
No way.
That's Nick. That's Nick, by the way. Listen to Nick back there. Why is that, Nick? You don't think there's a chance?
Not a chance. You deserve it. They won't give it to you.
Oh,
Makes sense.
Nick.
Were you the only Colts player on the decade team as well?
You're right. On
real one.
On the Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I don't know. That's it. Was I the only Colts player on there?
I believe so.
You might have been.
Do you think that zoo creature gets one over
The
you?
orangutan would get one over me. Remember, now in my draft speech, I did allude to a story that was real. I retired alongside two greats, Joe Wrights and Robert Mathis. That next draft, just a couple months later after all three of us retired, Robert Mathis announced a pick, Joe Wrights announced a pick, and then the fucking zoo animal orangutan.
Son of a bitch.
I wasn't even asked about it. So I wondered at that point, what am I turning heel against the Colts at this? I actually asked that question myself. I was like, but they paid me a lot of money and took care of a lot of people, and I had a lot of good friends in there. And then our relationship has obviously built back since that point and since the end of my career there in Indy, which is good.
What a cocky orangutan, just to say, you know what, yeah, I'll go up there.
All right, Dante, you're about to get to a very important answer there for us, and I'm thankful that you're back on. Thank you for joining us. Sorry for the technical difficulty there, probably on your side. The training camp feel from the team. How has it been? Has everything just been smooth? Have they picked up right where they left off 221 days ago?
That's what I've been hearing. I haven't been out, but I talked to a good friend of mine, and he said they look amazing. They're competing like crazy. And I think having the ability to bring back the nucleus of a Super Bowl championship team is key. Usually a team wins the Super Bowl, everyone goes off to get paid, right? But this particular team, we brought everyone back, and then we added Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We added some nice rookies on the defensive side of the ball, and they've competing. They're not satisfied. So when you got a leader like Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Tyrann Mathieu, these guys, they're hungry for even more championships. So I think the combination of all of that has these guys looking good, feeling good, and I think they're destined to try to repeat this season.
No team ever thinks about going undefeated or anything like that, but if you have a team that's stacked like that, that has to be in the conversation every once in a while, whether it's in the cafeteria or in the locker room. It's like, hey, there is no team that can match up. There is no team that can match up with this. This is how they have to be feeling, because last year at the end of the year, they proved that whenever they figured it out. And Patrick Mahomes said on the barbershop show that LeBron had on HBO that almost caused him to sue Nick Saban for having a barbershop show. He said that he didn't actually understand how to read a defense until halfway through the season last year. So Patrick Mahomes still has growth somehow.
Exactly.
I would assume that Tyreek Hill is still going to be even featured even more with even more ridiculous shit. Andy Reid has him run maybe 10 miles a game, but the defense has to cover that.
Don't sleep. Hey, Pat, don't sleep on McCole Hardman. He was a rookie last year. They got crazy experience. I think, is going to be the guy that jumps off the board. I think Tyreek is going to be Tyreek. Kelsey is going to be Kelsey. Keep your eye on McCole Hardman and the rookie out of LSU.
Okay,
Clyde Edwards.
Okay, McCole Hardman, by the way, took over the return duties. It was unbelievable because Tyreek Hill was another X factor like you whenever he was returning. Then he stopped returning balls because he became too important to the offense or whatever. And I was like, okay, thank God they're going to lose. And then they just plugged in McCole Hardman. It's like, no, same exact fucking guy somehow. How does this?
That's fucking Brett Breach and Veach and Mark Donovan and Andy Reid and his staff. They keep getting guys, in my opinion, not first rounders, top 10. They're getting these guys second round, third round, fourth round. They're getting great value out of their draft picks. So they're doing a tremendous job up top as well.
Let's talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire then. Let's talk about it because there is high expectations. I believe his over-under for rush yards tonight is 52.5 yards, okay?
Oh, over. 100% over.
I think so too because of the amount of weapons they have. They can't pack the box. The dude's going to potentially pop a 20, a 30, just out of nowhere, I think. And I don't know enough about him, and I don't know enough about rookie running backs.
Oh, wait. Time out. You don't know enough about him?
No, I don't think.
What were you watching all last year? Like,
I was watching
LSU game.
No, I was watching the American Conference. Okay, Thursday Night Football, American Conference specialty, which is back tonight. I believe Tulane, Miami's playing the football tonight. But Joey Burrow took a lot of the shine. Justin Jefferson took a lot of the shine. Clyde was unbelievable, but now he's the guy because Damian Williams says he's out. And with a light box, it feels like the running back is in actually a very good position if you're a Kansas City.
And then think about this, Pat. You know this also. It takes the defense a lot longer than the offense to get on one accord. So with the defense not having any preseason games to try to get on one accord, I feel like in the beginning of each season, first 2 or 3 games, defenses are not as good as they're going to be down the line because it takes a little while to get that cohesiveness. So I think tonight with no preseason games whatsoever for the defense to go out there and kind of, get a makeshift look, they're going to be exposed tonight, I believe. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, and because of that reason, I think Clyde Edwards gets 100 yards right out the gate. Right out the gate.
Wow. I remember that a couple years ago, there was another young running back that got the ball on opening night or primetime game, and he had like 700 yards. Now he just got paid in Cleveland. But whenever you talk about a defense being on the same accord, let's dive into the analytics of that a little bit. So with Kansas City Chiefs, because there's so many weapons, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, Sammy Watkins, you name it. You have all these weapons that can get down the field, and Tyreek Hill. And Andy Reid has this offense where he does exploit that, and he moves people down the field. They have to be in quite a deep shell, so they have to drop people out. So the box that is in front of the offensive line is nowhere near as big as it could be if it was a running team. But with the limited amount of people that you have there, everybody has to be very disciplined in their gaps. And that's what you're talking about with on accord, because whenever you have a light box, if one person decides to zig or is forced to zig and another person zags, that's an entire hole. And then the back end of that defense is so far down the field. I mean, there's a chance that Clyde Edwards-Helaire could really eat, really eat tonight if he wanted to.
Because you got to bring 2 safeties back. You have to keep 2 safeties back with McCole and Tyreek. So that's automatically going to give you a 7-man box. And then with all the the things that Andy Reid does pre-snap, someone is going to get confused. My offensive coordinator said something that stuck with me forever. And he's just like, the defense, if you take an NFL game, average 60, 70, 80 plays, the defense has to be right 70, 80 times. The offense just has to be right 4 or 5 times. Meaning, if the defense is wrong one time, that's a bomb over the top. That's a big third down conversion. That's a big chunk game. The defense has to be right every single time, because if not, that one time you're wrong and that offense is right, it's bombs over Baghdad. So I think the Chiefs have the ability with that offense to be right 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 times. And the defense, I don't think you can play a perfect game. Look at the San Francisco 49ers. They played a perfect game, 60, 70 snaps, and then in the fourth quarter, they didn't play perfect snaps for 4 or 5 plays, and now we're Super Bowl champs.
Well, that's the thing, though, about Patrick Mahomes saying that he learned how to read a defense is sometimes those defenses can miss or make a mistake in one of those, and your quarterback doesn't take advantage of it, right? And that's like those moments where you'll see wide receivers pissed off. You'll see a lot of hands up in the air. You'll see offensive coordinators on the sideline frustrated. You'll see everybody come to the sideline. Normally, I would be trotting on the field at that point to punt, and everybody's pissed. The crowd saw it. And the quarterback missed it. But Patrick Mahomes, it seems like he will not miss a shot. He does not miss a shot that he gets. And I think his growth, which is only going to continue to happen, is the weapon that Andy Reid has. And I can't believe they got him all locked down for the next 12 years. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me.
Brought the tight end back. They brought Tyreek back. Well, they got him locked up for 3 years. You had the rookie coming off a rookie contract. Then you go get this kid, Clyde Edwards. I mean, and then they were able to also bring, don't forget, Sammy Watkins back. He could have probably went and got paid. They brought DeMarcus Robinson, our 4th receiver. He came back and got paid. So I don't know how they're doing it. They got some mad scientists or some mathematicians, savants up in that damn front office, because I thought for sure our team would be broken up and guys would go run off and get paid.
Yeah, me too. And it's amazing that they haven't. I can't wait to talk to you throughout the season. I hope you will join us. Pro Bowler, 9-season vet for the Kansas City Chiefs, the man who changed the game, and now he has a Super Bowl ring because he's an ambassador, the X Factor, Dante Hall. Thank you. Dante! Woo! So he just hammered home everything we thought.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Over on Edwards-Helaire by a mile.
They are who we thought they were. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we just learned. They are who we thought they were. Tonight's a big night for the NFL, obviously going back, 17,000 fans. The NFL season is kicking off, and it feels like the man that they're putting as the face of the league, Patrick Mahomes, the man who got a $500 million contract, the man who is probably going to be promoted on every single NFL commercial this season going forward, if I had to guess. Baker Mayfield will still get his, clean up the stadium stuff, which is great acting, by the way.
Sure.
I'm sure Dak Prescott will still get the yogurt and the other stuff.
Sure.
And I'm hoping that Lamar Jackson will pick it up in the marketing game as well, because he deserves it. But Patrick Mahomes is going to be the face of the NFL for the next 5-10 years.
Hines.
That's just how it's going to go. That's just how it's going to be. And if the NFL gets a performance out of Patrick Mahomes tonight that mimics anything like it did in the playoffs, good night, Irene. There is a problem in Houston. That could be tough for them, especially with Bill O'Brien. That offseason.
No idea.
Has there been any positive, other than Deshaun Watson getting re-upped, has there been any positive? We talked to J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt was a good conversation.
Yeah, Tunsil got re-upped as well.
I love Tunsil.
Yeah.
Best lungs in football.
Uh-huh.
All right, we're back on the other side. A.J. Hawk will join us in about 40 minutes. We got a good convo about college football coming up. We got some more NFL chatter, and phone calls will be immediately after this commercial break. 1-888-MAD-DOG. 6. Ty has died off. 2 more to go. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, September 10th. I could see how a guy like Richard Sherman, who's been in the league a long time and has had success, could be like, hold on. This young little isn't going to dap me up. But on the flip side, Baker's like, well, you're enemy number 1 for me. Because that's how Baker has always operated. And now Richard Sherman says, so you don't see any difference in the way I shake everyone else's hand, and the guy who stands back with the petty shake was BS, and I took offense to it, then turns and runs off. It's not that big of a deal. It swept the nation yesterday. It was controversy like no other controversy in the NFL world. Joining us right now, Richard Sherman. everything you do and say is going to get talked about. Do you agree?
I would agree.
Baker Mayfield is also a man that everything he does and says is going to get talked about. Do you agree?
I wouldn't agree as much, but sure. So I put my hand out, just out of courtesy. And he gives me a little petty slap on the hand. And I took it as disrespect. People can say, "Oh my God, he shook your hand." Like, what? "Oh my God, you were wrong." You can say whatever you want. I don't give a damn.
Is there anything you'd like to say? Like, hey man, I apologize for the misquote there. I did see on video the dap up, although it was a bit petty. I apologize for everything that happened, or are we just moving forward?
Oh, it's gonna be a bit of both. It's definitely my bad. I never want anybody to have to deal with some shit some stuff that they didn't do. And so I'll probably reach out to him via text or social media to actually get a hold of him and talk to him in person. First off, that was a great name y'all came up with, like Dapgate. I was crying laughing. But yeah, he definitely deserves an apology, and that's my bad on that.
Richard, I'll tell you what, bro. To show the humility right there to say, hey, my bad on that entire thing. Once I watched the film back, it was different than what I thought. I think a lot of people are going to have a lot more respect for you. They should at least. I didn't think I could continue to be an FCC-regulated person without really hitting my max potential.
And that's why he's with us. I love it. The Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82.
I did it.
Very nice.
2 hours straight, dude. Isn't it? It's 2 hours straight. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here. Thursday, September 10th, 2020. Boys, I've been staying fresh all summer long. You know that.
Oh, yeah. I've been seeing it.
Whether it's home workouts, shout out to the Stairmaster, pool days in the studio, or sweating out some bets on sports I know nothing about. I've been using Game Face wipes. They're the only FDA-approved wipe to kill 99% of germs and bacteria, a must-have in the new normal that we are currently living in right now. Safe on objects and surfaces as well as your skin. Great for in the gym and the locker room. Wipes down your sports equipment before and after use, you savages.
Hell yeah.
Now you can do and stay clean and safe at the same time. For a limited time only, they have a crazy deal for listeners of this show and watchers of this show right now. Use code PAT for 50%. Use code PAT for 50% off your first order of Game Face wipes at GameFaceGrooming.com. That is promo code PAT for 50% off
How can they
your
do that?
first order of Game Face wipes at GameFaceGrooming.com. That company's going to go out of business.
Yeah.
Let's take advantage of that as much as we can. That's 50% off with code PAT at GameFaceGrooming.com. That is a bad idea for them.
They have to change that soon.
We are all going to do that. I hope you all do. Let's take advantage of a deal that is very dumb. Now, let's get to the phones. Mad Dog Radio callers. Mad Dog Radio callers. Let's go to Rick over there in Kansas. Oh, is this Rick? What's up, buddy?
Mi amigo Patricio McAfee. How is it going, buddy?
Hola, aquí estamos, mi amigo. Great to hear from you, Rick. How are you, bub?
I am excellent. I just booked my flight, my hotel room, February 8th, Indianapolis, winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, really? Oh, you're going to Tampa for Indianapolis winning the Super Bowl because Phillip Rivers is there. What have you been up to, Rick? Great to hear from you. Let me make sure I have this right because we have not talked to you in a little bit here. You're the guy that works on rockets, right?
I believe so.
Yep.
Yeah.
We started during St. Patrick's Day a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I just didn't know. I didn't remember the profession. We might need a couple of those rockets sent to a couple old White's house who are friends of Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Hey, just let me know when and where, and you got it, buddy.
How have you been? How's the family? How's life?
Good, buddy. Just working my butt off, trying to follow you guys on the YouTube, and now on SiriusXM. Glad to have you guys back. And yeah, man, just living the dream.
All right, Rick. I just cut him off there. I didn't know he was going to go. He wanted to talk about the Colts, though, winning Super Bowl. He talked about that on February 8th. Rick, we appreciate. We had a great time St. Patrick's Day a couple years ago, and we appreciate hearing from you again, Rick. The Colts do feel like a team that could potentially do it. They have a great offensive line.
Do they?
You guys, I mean, the only person we've talked to who has seen you guys practice says you guys stink.
For sure. But
no, but I'm just saying, Bill Belichick is a guy who's going to win games. I didn't doubt that. But whenever I start to go on a run about the Indianapolis Colts and why they're a potential team to look out for, just keep your masshole fucking mouth shut.
Okay, I will.
Do you have anything else to say before I get
The
going?
Chiefs are not going to let that happen.
That is my only thing. It wasn't going to be you guys, by the way.
Of course not.
For the last 20 years, it has been the New England. You still have to get over the monster that is the New England Patriots. You still have to be able to go into Foxborough. This is our house. With the Minutemen and the massholes and the weather that some people think that Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick can control. For the last 20 years, that's been a conversation. Now it's like, hey, you're going to have to go out there to barbecue country in Kansas City, and you're going to have to take on Andy Reid's hamburger and that team. There is going to be a problem. Now, Phillip Rivers comes to the team. Team has a great offensive line. For the first time, Phillip Rivers has a great offensive line, is what everybody is saying. Chargers fans are telling us. And no offense to Phillip Rivers or the Chargers, none of us that live anywhere outside of San Diego have seen the Chargers on TV much for the last, 16 years probably.
Right.
Which is potentially why Archie Manning told Eli Manning, yeah, they can draft you, but we ain't playing it. We'll go back to Ole Miss if we fucking have to. We will tell the NCAA to change rules. We're going to go Giants. Because for a long time, the East Coast bias has been a real thing, and it still is a real thing. So I didn't know enough about the Chargers. Now, Chargers get on primetime football. I always think, wow, Keenan Allen. That guy's unbelievable. We should talk about him more. Oh, Phillip Rivers still playing. Guy's a good football player. Love the way he talks trash to people. It's always the same takeaways, and then they disappear yet again because they're never on national television, especially being the second team to go to L.A. I mean, it was just the Chargers' PR for a long time has been non-existent. You haven't really heard about it. So I didn't really know much about Phillip Rivers other than the fact I love he talks shit. I love his competitive fire. He's got 75 kids, and he can throw the ball well, unless the only thing you see is lowlights of him throwing the ball bad. But he joins a team that has a great offensive line, which Phillip Rivers fans in San Diego and Los Angeles said he has never had a great offensive line. We have a great offensive line. He gets back with Frank Reich, head coach, who was his offense coordinator for years, and they had a lot of success together. He's falling into an offensive system that he knows very well, that the team now knows very well. They're a couple years into this thing. A great defense. Now they got a rookie kicker in Hot Rod. Oh, man. Old Rodrigo Blankenship, Hot Rod. Respect the specs out of Georgia. Now, they had Vinatieri for a long time. Last year he was hurt. They released him. Obviously, he didn't get released. His contract ran out. Who knows what he's going to do? I do not ask because I have no filter, and I do not want to be the person that breaks Adam Vinatieri's news, so I don't even fucking ask. He was at my wedding. I said, how you feeling? He said, good, man. I'm enjoying life. And then I think he thought my next question was going to be, are you kicking anywhere next year? And even on my wedding day, seeing him wearing leopard shoes, he looked unbelievable and amazing. I didn't even think, what are you doing next year? Because I didn't want him to tell me, because then when I'm on this thing, Vinatieri told me the other day that that's probably not, like, I can't do that. I can't be that guy. But they have a rookie kicker. That's the only position that's really questionable right now for the Indianapolis Colts. And when you look at a team, and when you look at, like, how a team's going to run, now, injuries happen to everybody. You're like, what's the most complete team? And you look at the Indianapolis Colts, they are a very complete team. And they were a team that Tom Brady and his team were potentially interested in. And Chris Ballard, the young, baby-face-looking, southern draw-having son of a bitch general manager for the Colts looked at Tom Brady and their team and said, no, we're good. We're bringing in Phil Rivers. And everybody in the Indianapolis Colts building has said Philip Rivers has been a perfect fit. So I'm happy for the building. I love the way the Colts team has been built. I like the culture that they have. I think this offseason only helped their team instead of hurt their team. And if Phil Rivers, now with an offensive line behind him, and after talking to him last week, he seems like a gem of a man. That is a team that can go on a run, I think, this year. But the AFC... You got Lamar Jackson, a reigning MVP. You got a Super Bowl MVP. You got Bill Belichick still in New England with Ernie up in the sky still. Josh McDaniels as well. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers with Ben Roethlisberger coming back. I mean, the AFC, just like the NFC stacked as well. But the AFC has some tough mountains you're going to have to climb if you want to win the AFC Championship. And by the way, that's why the NFL is so fucking awesome. There's teams that have no chance, like the Jaguars. By the way, hammer the Colts -7.5 this weekend against a team that is a tanking operation. Yeah, because Phil Rivers ain't going to let them lose. You know how competitive Phil Rivers is? There's no way he's going to let them lose to. Now, Gardner Minshew, we are fans of Gardner Minshew, but he's got no chance down there.
No
If
chance.
you're good at football, they're actually getting rid of you. But the AFC is going to be tough, to your point. And it's not because of the New England Patriots for the first time in like 20 years. It's because of the Kansas City Chiefs, who returned 18 of 22 starters.
Got a couple things for you. Jacksonville is 0-7 against the spread against Philip Rivers. So just a little fun fact.
There's some real trends.
You want to grab that thing real quick?
Yep, go ahead. Having the Colts there.
Fun fact for you there. The Colts just hung a banner outside of Lucas Oil's thanking Vinny for the memories.
Yeah, which is very
little
nice
touch.
of them. By the way, Vinatieri was on the side of the stadium here for like the last 8 years, I think. Pretty cool. I don't know how many kickers just get put on the side of the stadium. I know Brett Kern is down there in Nashville because he's a stud, but Vinatieri has been overlooking 70 for like the last 8 years there with his big ass body on the side.
They have the third best odds behind the Ravens and Chiefs as far as the AFC is concerned. And then do you worry about lack of wide receiver weapons other than T.Y.?
T.Y., Pittman Jr., and we all know that Philip Rivers loves his tight end. Jack Doyle is one of the most steady humans in the history of mankind. He went to Eastern Kentucky, I believe. He was cut by the Tennessee Titans. We picked him up as a free agent because he's from Indianapolis, Cathedral High School here. We brought him in. I think somebody potentially signed him as like a favor. Then he became a stud weapon on our special teams. He was my left tackle on punt team for years and years. Then whenever he got into the offense, he just started dominating, but we still kept him on special teams because he was so good at it. He and I have had conversations while jogging on the field for a punt after like a 10-play drive that stalled out where he had a lot of passing routes where he'd look at me and go, "Bud, I'll block. I cannot run down the field right now." He's got a good beard. He's got good hands. Look for him to potentially dominate. They lose Eric Ebron to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is quite a weapon. Seems like there was really no noise but from anybody inside the Colts regime whenever he left. I don't know what happened there. Nobody does. We don't mind Eric Ebron here. Eric Ebron could be good for the Steelers.
He always does great the first year he's at someplace.
But look for Jack Doyle to do well. But yes, I thought that was a big deal, and that's why they brought in Pittman Jr. Because T.Y. was just getting covered. T.Y. Hilton's the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL, I think. Him, Keenan Allen, there's probably some more. But T.Y. would get double covered by everybody because we didn't have another weapon. You bring in this Pittman Jr., you're relying on a rookie, which is obviously tough to do. I mean, and I don't want to sound like an old vet, but rookies don't have fucking clue.
Paris Campbell, who they had last year, hopefully.
And he's healthy, I think, because he broke his hand. But it's like, and also Marlon Mack is back after getting hurt. Jonathan Taylor. And Wilkins, I think, is still in the team. So there's some real weapons. We have some real weapons out there. But when you're talking about stretching the field, we needed somebody to take attention off of T.Y. And I'm thankful they addressed that. And hopefully Paris will be able to stay a little bit healthy. But boy, watching T.Y. just get doubled every game was like, golly. Can we give the guy a break for a second?
Rivers really does feel like he's like reinvigorated too, and he's ready for another run here. Like it feels more like a chapter 2 than it does like him just winding down. Like I mean, you look at last year, the quarterback that was like one of the big question marks they had, and they addressed that. Like I
feel good about the Colts, but the Chiefs, Patriots, Steelers, Ravens. I mean, the AFC is tough.
Titans even now.
Titans got Jadeveon Clowney. They bring back Derrick Henry, who's playing new football. Yeah. There are a lot of very good teams this year, and the NFC is stacked as well. And we haven't even mentioned, if I die, I die. Justin in South Carolina, what's going on, pal?
What's going on, brother?
Hanging out. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Last time I called, I fell asleep after doing my morning therapy, so that one was on me, not Mitt.
Sorry, morning therapy. Let's talk about that a little bit. You falling asleep on the phone, definitely fucked up. Please don't do that to us. But let's talk about the morning therapy. Is that like a meditation thing that you fall asleep during, or?
No. That was I have to do physical therapy, trying to learn how to walk again. If I can ever do that, we'll see. It's looking good. I have been making some steps, so progress.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into that a little bit here. What are we doing? What happened? Where are we headed? How far along are we? And when are we walking onto a stage that we are on and chugging a beer with us in South Carolina at some point?
Oh God, I could do that today.
Okay, here we go. So what happened?
So yeah, last year I was paralyzed. I called in a few weeks ago, actually, to talk to you, because you guys are amazing. So to all those older whites that don't like using the fuck word, how you doing? Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Justin.
So I do physical therapy every morning. Try to walk. I'm up to about 30 feet. I can walk now.
Here we go. 10 yards. That's a first down.
That's right.
This guy's picking up the first down. Hey, move the chains, Justin. That's what we're talking about, brother.
Yeah, but so the reason I called is, first off, is a statement, so don't hang up on me after the statement, because it is outrageous.
Oh, you're rolling the dice, pal.
Yeah, this is quite
But I have a question following the statement. So my buddy at David on Sports on Twitter says that at New York Jets will have more wins than the at Buccaneers this season. Don't at me. So McAfee Mafia, please go bury him.
Okay.
So my question is, did the sports world get infiltrated by some random guy on Twitter, and that's who released the quarterback power ranking?
Oh, for Complex Sports, I believe you're talking about. I believe you're talking about Complex Sports. Yeah, I think we got trolled. I think we all got trolled.
Yep.
I appreciate Justin calling back. He did fall asleep the last time he was on. I do recall that. That therapy has to be terrible. That's rehab, right? I mean, he's going from paralyzed. He literally has to teach his legs how to walk again. Good for Justin. He said he could walk for a first down.
Yeah.
Go ahead and hand the ball off, guys.
Give him the ball.
Feed the guy. Feed Justin. Let him get a little loose out there. What's up, Diggs?
No, that was great.
You're proud of that guy. Dana White said that other leagues are allowing players to play after testing positive for COVID.
Dana.
This is very, very interesting. This came out of MMA Junkie, which is a USA Today MMA
blog.
Okay? And they had an interview with Dana White. I don't know if it was an exclusive interview or if this was whenever he was talking to an entire thing. But he basically talked about how the entire process, he's been attacked. Because if you remember, as soon as the sports world stopped and as soon as the pandemic happened, Dana White was the first one who was like, we're going to have fights. And they're like, no, you can't. And Disney actually had to stop him because he was going to have fights in the basement of the thing, which is now happening in the basement of the UFC building. The Apex, I believe is what it's called. Smaller cage. He was going to do that early in Disney, and he had to come to an agreement. He was like, I will postpone these things. Then he started an island. He was like, listen, I can't get international fighters into America, so I'm going to buy an island, which, I mean, it was Fight Island over there in Abu Dhabi, I believe, and that happened. So Dana White has been a driver behind this thing. Like, hey, I am doing this whether anybody likes this or not. Now he's doing an interview saying, hey, in the NBA and the MLB, other sports that are currently happening, if somebody's asymptomatic and they're not contagious, they're letting people test positive and go ahead and do it. Look at us. We got nothing. We got nobody failing. If we have people failing, we're canceling fights. We're moving fights. We only had a certain amount of fights last time whenever we were supposed to have more. He even said in there, what about me? I'm shaking these guys' hands. I want everybody to be clean. I've taken a bunch of tests. It is very, very interesting that Dana White just dropped that little piece of information in the middle of that, which, by the way, is Dana White cutting a promo, right? That's Dana White getting people coming after him. He's like, oh, you want to talk about me? Oh, I started an island. Do you remember that? I did an island. We all got tested. It was clean. We got off without any hitch. Nobody got it. Nobody died. How do you feel? Oh, I got a little basement over here called Apex. At the beginning, I was told by my own partners that this wasn't going to work. Guess what? It fucking works. We had no fail. If somebody fails, okay, we don't have a test. We move forward. If somebody gets positive, we go ahead and move on. We do another thing. And then he's like, oh, by the way, we're not like those other leagues that are doing this where positive tests are just kind of a blind eye to it, remember? And nobody even asked a follow-up question. He just went on to his next thing. And it was like, wait a minute, Dana, you can't just sprinkle in an elbow drop on that whole thing. I wonder if that's happening. I have no idea who he's talking to or how that's being figured out. I'll be intrigued to hear if there's more from that particular statement, because if that is happening, that's very, very interesting, because the thing about the bubble was it was supposed to keep all the positive tests out. And if there are positive tests happening in there, but they're deeming them asymptomatic and they're not going to be able to be contagious and everything like that, then I think we have to have a larger conversation outside these bubbles about what the fuck's going on. So that was a wild statement by, not a wild statement, that was a big statement by Dana White right there that just kind of got passed over in that particular interview, because I don't think the MMA junkie people wanted to dive into the NBA and MLB. But that is something I think somebody should look into at some point. He also called the whole thing fucking wacky, which a lot of people went after him for. But I would assume that if you've looked at our world at all for the last 4 months, you'd say, This is a pretty wacky COVID. I mean, at one point we weren't allowed to look at each other in the eyeballs without wearing glasses. I mean, and then now one particular mask isn't as good as another particular mask, and then this mask isn't this. So when everybody's like, well, you called it wacky. It's not wacky. It's health and safety. It's like, well, I mean, depending on how you view the word wacky, it has been pretty fucking wacky, I would assume. But that little nugget he dropped in there was eye-opening for me.
Well, he completely contradicted the NBA test results and stuff like that that said 0 positive tests. Like if they were asymptomatic and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure it still tests positive.
Yes.
And then he dropped in a little nugget that if you're asymptomatic, you're not contagious.
He's like, wait.
I didn't hear that. That's a completely different. That's a completely different virus.
Fauci told me I couldn't even touch the same table that somebody touched 4 days ago.
Sure sounds like Dana White's a little upset he's not the only sport going on anymore because I'm sure the numbers have dropped pretty significantly. I'm a Dana White guy. I love the UFC, but shit, no one's probably watching it anymore.
No. Well, they had a fight the other night, I guess, on ESPN Plus, and I saw some highlights for it, and I didn't even think about it. But I think that whenever I will watch. Whenever they have a high-profile fight,
absolutely,
I will watch the humans go in there. Two men, 2 women enter. One person walks out with their hand raised. The other person probably completely beat the shit.
Hell yeah.
That I will watch that every single time. I don't normally know a lot of the fighters. I try not to learn their backstories because much like America's Got Talent, whenever they started telling me all the backstories, I couldn't just enjoy the show anymore. I was like, oh, I'm pulling for this person. Oh, they had 17 people in their family had cancer within the last month. Oh my God. Like I want them to, they're not as good as, but they need it. That UFC, I don't do that. I try not to learn anything, but I will watch them get in there and throw bombs at each other. And I do believe they were a big part of getting through quarantine. I'm thankful for Fight Island and the Apex. But you're right. There's a lot of sports right now that are happening, and there's a lot of shit that I miss. And I think a lot of people are, I think there's a kind of a wave of what sports are being watched, what aren't being watched, like the NHL. They potentially were going to be able to win over a lot of fans, and they did not. Mr. Mansouri, big UFC fan, what were you going to say?
Well, I got something for you, Pat, that I think you're going to find enjoyable, especially, you weren't a big proponent of the late-night UFC starts.
Yes.
UFC 254, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Justin Gaethje for the lightweight title happening in Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, happening here in America in the afternoon.
Let's go!
Okay.
Smart. By the way, this is to what you just said.
Yeah, you're welcome, Dana White in the UFC.
He made that decision before you said it.
I thought that was breaking news. That's not breaking news?
It does feel like that is breaking news, but for news to break, it would have to be decided before, about a minute and a half before then, whenever you said that you don't know that it's on anymore. But I like the fact that you classic masshole will take credit for something that another masshole made happen.
Thank you.
That is very interesting for you to cock Dana White's decision. This is a good idea. And there's probably some people that are going to hate this. I would assume there's like diehard fight purists who are like, oh, I watch mine late at night. It's what I do or whatever. It's like, hey, there's NBA on every single night. There's about to be football on every single night. There's about to be golf that's going to be happening. There's going to be a lot of shit that's NHL. There's so much happening at night now. Let's take over the day. Who do you got to compete? I guess just golf is the only people you would have to compete with in the middle of the day. College football, if that happens, I guess. Yep. But those game day or afternoon games aren't nearly as high profile as the night ones. I think this is a good idea. When the World Cup's in the middle of the day, I'll watch the hell out of it. I think a lot of people do. Whenever March Madness is in the middle of the day, I think people watch the hell out of it. Whenever WWE has their crown jewel in the middle of the day over there in Saudi Arabia, people will watch that during the day. I think this is a good move by them. And I would assume the fighters are very happy about this because the last time they had to act as if they were still on American time while they were over in Yas Island, and they were fighting at like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. or something like that. I would assume that there was potentially some drawbacks, some people saying, hey, and Dana lived over there for what? 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like a month. And he had to go American time because they were fighting at 5 a.m. every single time for an entire month in a country that wasn't. I mean, that had to be a little bit interesting, but I like the daytime fights, and it gives them a little bit more showtime. Maybe more people will watch fights. I don't know what they're doing. I assume they're doing well.
Hey, I'm going to watch them for sure. No doubt about it.
Let's go to Rocky over there in Oregon. Rocky, what's going on in Oregon?
How's it going, Pat? Not much. We got most of our state here is experiencing some pretty bad wildland smoke. We got some bad fires.
Yeah.
So,
shit.
It's not too well right now. It's pretty hazy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It sucks out there.
Man, I'm so sorry. T's and P's out there. I knew San Francisco, right? There's fires over there.
Whole West Coast.
Oregon's right north of.
Yep.
Oh man, see, I don't know
Yeah,
geography.
I mean, I spent 5 years as a firefighter in California before I decided to move up to Oregon and become a farmer up here. And I've never seen anything like it up here. It reminds me eerily of Northern California where I used to work, and no, it's not good.
Those photos that came out of San Fran yesterday,
crazy.
Wild.
It looked like a movie, man. And there's nothing anybody can do once those things start. I mean, it just goes. And I guess they're saying gender reveals are some of the starts of this thing.
Yeah,
It's some dry thing, and it just goes. T's and P's to everybody over there, especially Oregon, California. You know, anybody going through anything, obviously, but the fires, we only get a chance over here in Indiana to see the videos that come out. It looks terrible. All we got to hope is that everybody's okay. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Hey, so, I mean, I live right outside of Corvallis, where Oregon State is, so I'm kind of forced to be a Pac-12 fan.
Go Beavs.
What do you think is going to really be the shakedown in the future of the Pac-12? Because, honestly, with them holding the season, it looks really bad. The conference struggles every year to make it in the playoffs or make it into big bowls, and that goes across, like, all their sports when it comes to, you know, March Madness and the baseball, and it seems like everything. So is the Pac-12 really, really going to take a big hit when it comes?
I think the Pac-12 is in problem.
They're screwed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's nobody talking about the Pac-12 right now. And the Pac-12, I assume, will always be a power conference. I don't know if that's accurate. But with this year, with the way the circumstances are, there's a chance one of these smaller schools, like the UCF run a couple years ago, there's a chance one of these smaller schools, they go on a big run, they could be taken seriously in this thing. Because there isn't as much room at the top with the big conference names. What if the American Conference or some other teams get a chance here to really put on a show, which they could do? Is BYU the best football team to ever play football?
Might be.
That is a real question.
Yes.
They won by 70 the other night, and they looked like they were not even going to slow down against poor Navy. Shout out to the Navy, shout out to the troops, shout out to everybody. But that BYU team looked unbelievable. Without the Pac-12, and there's been no talk from Pac-12 people, by the way.
Nothing.
General Bob Carpenter's army is in Big Ten country only. It is not over there in Pac-12. There's been no complaints, it sounds like, from Pac-12 fans. There's been no real noise from Pac-12 players, Pac-12 coaches. A lot of the states in Pac-12 country are completely locked down still. I mean, it has been very interesting to see the difference in reaction from the Big Ten and the Pac-12. And I would assume all the people that bash the Pac-12, because the Pac-12 has never been treated the same as the other four power conferences, right? Never. But I think the other four power conferences would say Pac-12 is nowhere near like us. And I think this particular situation is one of those ones that people would be like, Big Ten is riding right. In Connecticut, there's protests happening for high school football outside of the town hall or something. And it looked like it was thousands deep over there. Big Ten, they got people picketing. Pac-12, we haven't really heard anything out of there. And I would assume the rippling effects will be Pac-12 has great academics. A lot of their schools have very great academics. So they don't always get in the same recruiting wars as the other schools, I would assume, because there's a certain level of academia to get into these Pac-12 schools. But I think recruiting will be affected for the Big Ten and Pac-12 going forward. I just think it will. I think it's a matter of fact. I think if you have a guy who doesn't have like a dad that played Ohio State or lives in Ohio and just loves Ohio State, you know, and eats and bleeds and breathes AJ Hawk, you know, and the Buckeyes and everything like that. I think it's going to be very hard to win a recruit over whenever your conference was the only conference to cancel football and every other conference that wants to recruit has football. That's just such an easy, if you understand the college coach recruiting game at all, they try to take advantage of everything. Like every little thing is in the way they paint the picture for the family, for the player, for their future. I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle for a lot. No, Ohio State will always have good players because they're a storied franchise and everything like that. I very much understand that. But the Pac-12, I mean, they haven't been good for a long time. They haven't been good for a long time. And other than Nike at Oregon, I don't know what you have. Sorry for the Oregon State fan there. I don't know what you have to recruit to be like, hey, we have good facilities. Like, well, everybody has good facilities. We have a diehard fan base. Didn't hear them at all whenever football was canceled. We love football here. You cancel football. There's all those things are what college football coaches are going to do. Now, if this season ends up a complete bust for college football and the season gets canceled and there's a massive outbreak, then the Big Ten and Pac-12 completely on their head is like, hey, we're smarter than those schools. Okay, they wasted their players' times. They put them in jeopardy. That's the only way Big Ten and Pac-12 remain relevant in the recruiting game, I think. Other than that, the SEC, the ACC, Big 12, American Conference, even Mountain West Conference, they're going to have an advantage over all these motherfuckers.
Well, and that's what's interesting, too, is if this would have been 15 years ago, USC probably would have been right there with Ohio State. Like, they had that cachet where they probably could have pushed to, like, hey, we need to do this. We need to play this season no matter what. But you're right. I mean, they haven't been relevant in 15 years. So at this point, it seems like they're just selling LA to recruits.
I don't even know if they're selling that at this point because you can't leave your house, right?
Right. I mean, in the current state, why would you want to go to USC or really anywhere on the West Coast?
I have no idea. I mean, it's going to be tough, I think. And now they're already fighting an uphill battle because nobody really takes Pac-12 seriously, right? Nobody does. I mean, it's kind of I learned that when I called the Stanford-UCLA game.
Utah.
I was over there. I mean, Utah, for instance. I mean, granted, you got your guy, Air Bear, coming out of the Pac-12 going in the top 5 pick or whatever, which is great for them. But aside from that, there's not a lot of love for Pac-12. And I think we're realizing why fan bases don't respect them is because their fan base doesn't even care right now. It's like, there's no football. Fuck it. We got a lot of other stuff going on over here.
Does this, though, hurt the Big Ten more? Because the Pac-12 is kind of out there by themselves. They have to compete against the Mountain West for recruiting if players are looking to stay closer to home out west. But the Big Ten, I mean, they have to compete against the ACC, Big 12, SEC. They're all right on this side of the country. So does it hurt the Big Ten more, do you think, not playing? And just in the recruiting area.
Big Ten, it hurts Ohio State. Ohio State, I guess there's some other, Nebraska.
Michigan.
Wisconsin. There's some schools that are in the relevant conversation. And I think those are the only schools it really hurts. And the reason why it hurts the Big Ten more is because Big Ten has more relevant schools, I think, than the Pac-12 has. The Pac-12 has, I guess, nostalgia. I guess nostalgia will get people. And and you know what I mean? Like there's, I guess, like, the old school Chip Kelly Oregon days and the Rose. Like, I guess that is the way. But when you talk about recruiting, man, it's just like, it's going to be hard for Ohio State to pitch a fight against somebody down there in the SEC or even the ACC at this point. Be like, we know Cincinnati's only like an hour and a half from here, and they got to play an entire season, but we were looking out for the health and the safety. Like, if it were now, if the season goes to shit, I must reiterate, if the season goes to COVID shit just out of nowhere, then the Big Ten and Pac-12 are heralded as heroes like the presidents thought they were going to be.
Well, and even next year, like recruiting for the Big Ten, like would you go to a Big Ten school if you didn't know if you're going to be playing spring football or like football in the fall? Like you have no idea what your future holds.
All right, we have some updates in the NFL, not in Big Ten. Let's pivot back to the NFL. Adam Schefter tweeted 3 hours ago that Denver expressed interest in signing former Rams and Packers linebacker Clay Matthews, but was told he is not going to play. Per source, Matthews would have been a strong replacement for the injured Von Miller, says Adam Schefter, which is an accurate statement. The Los Angeles Rams and Clay Matthews separated, split ways. The LA Rams still owed him money. That happened publicly. He came on our show. He talked about he wasn't sure what he was going to do in the future. He did still want to play. So when I read that Schefter tweet, it's very interesting. We have had an answer from Clay Matthews now at this point. Clay Matthews answers Adam Schefter's tweet saying that he told Denver he wasn't going to play, and he said, "I never said this. We recently had communication with the Broncos, but were unable to come to an agreement." And then he has 2 rat emojis.
Ooh.
Wow. Clay ain't happy. We're unable to reach an agreement. So Denver was like, "Hey, what do you think? Like bag of balls here, pal?
That in? Or?
You got paid from the Rams still? Maybe get you a bag of balls? What are you thinking, pal?"
The Rams still owe me money, actually.
Yeah, so maybe have the Rams say you? Yeah, maybe. He's like, I don't think so. Are you guys going to win the Super Bowl this year? Maybe. I mean, maybe, I guess. But
probably not.
So you're going to pay me shit and we're not going to win? Okay. I'm going to get out of here. Now, Clay Matthews did not tell us that. That is us just reading one tweet from Clay Matthews, who doesn't normally tweet, by the way.
No.
Clay Matthews is not a normal tweeter. We got about 2 minutes till this hour ends. Let's go to Morgan in Indianapolis. What up, Morgan? Appreciate you, buddy.
Dadgummit, Pat, you just hype me up talking about this Colts team, man.
Oh.
There you go, Morg.
Hey,
That's right.
Okay. Freaking awesome, dude, with Phillip Rivers out there.
I got a quick question for you. You've been gassing up Rivers, and now you've been gassing up Rodgers. I got them both on fantasy for this weekend. Who do I start? Who do I sit?
Phillip Rivers is going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. Go ahead and put that one in there. Mm-hmm. I think that is the go. And it's the first game. He's going to want to have to prove himself to a new group. I think we're going to see something special out of Phil Rivers. Now, this could be cut for a cold take at some point, but I think this week is going to be a blowout tonight, and I think it's going to be a blowout Colts Jaguars.
Ooh.
And that's not normal, by the way, in the NFL. I think like 85 or 90% of the games are one-score games. That's why every single point matters in this whole thing. I think Phillip Rivers and the Colts are going to have a field day with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who morale is probably pretty low, I would assume. I mean, I could be wrong, but I would assume that they are potentially low morale at this point and low talent level. No matter how good Gardner Minshew is, he might be the next Ryan Fitzpatrick, for real. He might be that guy. I just don't see them having that good of a team.
How do players get up for games and get motivated when you look around and there really isn't anyone?
Paycheck is what we're all looking for. Yeah. That's why the year we were 2-14, everybody said we're sucking for luck. Every player on that team was like, I'm not sucking for shit. Okay? I'm trying to get money out here. But whenever you can't play as good as the people across the board, and your coaches know they're probably getting fired, is your game plan as good? Is your team? Probably not. Philip Rivers is going to dominate this weekend. I would start him. Now, even though we love Aaron Rodgers, he's probably going to throw for 700 yards. That could be tough, but who knows? Hour 2 wrapping up. AJ Hawk joins us on the other side. A lot of things to talk about, and we'll give our Super Bowl predictions. Wow. This is Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, September 10th. Let me tell you a little story about these statistics. Troy Polamalu, okay? Fucking Troy Polamalu. So we had a fake for the Pittsburgh Steelers that was a 100%er. We didn't even have a cancel the goddamn play because it was a 100%er. If we ever end up in this situation, inside the 7-yard line on the left hash, it is a 100%er that the C gap will be wide open and we will just part the C to the left. It'll be a touchdown. 100%er. We're playing in Pittsburgh, the city I grew up in. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I won the punt, pass, and kick. National championship, AJ. National championship, AJ.
Congrats.
AJ, did you ever win the national championship, punt, pass, and kick?
I think I got 3rd or 4th out of 4 at the Nationals.
I'm proud of you, man. Anyways, so we're there in that stadium, okay? A lot of McAfee's in there. A lot of McAfee's in Pittsburgh. I'm going to score my first fucking touchdown, night game, Sunday Night Football, I believe it was, right here, touchdown. We get into that situation, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is really going to happen. We're like on the 6, on the left hash. It's 4th and goal now. Field goal team's jogging on. I'm like, well, fuck, it's about to, I'm ready. I am ready for this to happen. So I get out there. I get down. Vinny's like happy for me. Vinny's like very excited. He's like, let's fucking go. Like Vinny's excited for me at this moment. I'm like, here we go. So I make the call. I forget what it was. So I start saying it, right? And everybody's looking at me like, okay, bright eyes. Here we go. Let's get after it. Offensive linemen are dead ass tired. They do not want to be in the middle of a field goal anyways. So they're just like, all right, I don't give a fuck if you die here, but this should work. Let's get some points. And all of a sudden, I go through my cadence, I call it, I get down, and Troy Polamalu's fucking ass goes ahead for however long his career was at this point. I think it was like 9 years or 8 years at this point. Not a once has he ever gone to this side of the field over here to the left and stood right in the C gap. Never. He lined up exactly where he had lined in film 100% of the time. And then as soon as I got to like the second cadence right before set, he just bounced his little ass right over to the C gap. And I like stopped everything I was doing and I literally just looked at him. And I gave him like a, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, why are you there right now? And then I stood up and said, we are kicking it. We don't have it. We have to kick it. We are kicking this. And then I get down, and Vinatieri kicks it, and I jog off the field. And Chuck Pagano comes running up next to me. He's like, hey, good job. What you see? I said, what did I see? Polamalu just fucking went right into the goddamn C gap. What did I see? What did I see? And he goes, okay, sounds good. Good call then. And good call then. And then Vinatieri's like, hey, way to go, buddy. I'm like, way to go? Are we not going to talk about how big of a fucking asshole Troy Polamalu is for what just happened right there? So that's...
I saw the angel of death waiting for me in the C gap.
It's unbelievable. What, you thought I was going to run him over? No way. He's probably going to strip me and score a touchdown the other fucking... That's Polamalu, bro. That ain't just your backyard football with your son. These are professional fucking athletes. He'd probably jump over the lineman, pick me up, and run me into the other fucking end zone if he wanted to. That's what he would have done.
The hard-hitting safety of his generation, too. I mean, Ed Reed, great cover safety. I don't know that you would have feared him, but...
Ed Reed, I would have feared Ed Reed. Yeah, if I saw Ed Reed in that C gap, absolutely. E.D. Reed, boy, the best safety you ever seen, boy. I ain't doing shit to Ed Reed.
No, Ed Reed would have made the tackle. I'm saying that Polamalu would have shaved years off your life.
Oh, my God.
This one in your face, mother.
Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
That was lovely.
I like that.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Big special night tonight.
Oh, yeah.
We have your Join the Virtual Moving the Chains NFL Kickoff Special with myself, Kerwin, and Jim Miller. Tonight, 6:30, I'll be joining via Zoom. The kickoff special will feature special guests, including former Kansas City Chiefs running back Christian Okoye.
Oh, yeah.
Modern Family star Rico Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah. Manny.
That's Manny.
I think so.
And myself, for details on how to register for this event, go to SiriusXM.com/NFL Kickoff Show. That's SiriusXM.com/NFL Kick Show. Oh, shit, not Kickoff Show. SiriusXM.com/NFL Kick Show. No spaces. No purchase necessary to enter. Must be a U.S. resident. Oh, sorry, Canada. And at least 18 years old. Registration is first come, first serve.
Oh, hell yeah.
Can't wait
All
to
right.
join them. I'm there tonight at 6:30.
Let's go.
Via Zoom.
Yep, should
Love
be good.
that show.
I'll be at my house. Will I have enough service to join the Zoom? I hope so. Can't wait to chat with them.
We'll find out.
Count down the minutes until the NFL kickoff tonight, Chiefs and Texans. To join us to talk about that and every single day, ladies and gentlemen, the best jawline in sports and Super Bowl champion, AJ Hall.
Yeah!
Wow. Good choice with the blue shirt with those blue eyes,
Yeah.
Mr. AJ Hall. This is a good
That's what
idea.
he's doing.
Good idea.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. How you doing, man? How'd the first 2 hours go?
Not too shabby. I dressed the Mad Dog Sports Radio fans. Really awesome. They've been very active, but there's a select group of them that might be the softest group of fucking humans I've ever encountered in my life. Might be the softest group.
Why? Why are they soft? What happened?
Well, they didn't like the use of the F-bomb today.
say fuck.
That was one of them. And then, lo and behold, it looks exactly like it. There was
Gary
another
Vee.
one. There was about like 50 of them that look exactly like that. That did not enjoy the swear words, because when I was put on Mad Dog Sports Radio, massive honor, obviously. Chris Russo is a legend in the game of sports talk. And when I talked to Chris Mad Dog Russo, he told me, like, he doesn't swear on his show, but me, do your show, do what you got to do. I didn't know the entire state channel did not swear. Like, I did not know that. And to be fair to me, the reason why we left Westwood One was because the whole ability to swear, not only for me and for the boys, but also for our guests. So, I mean, this kind of, I hate to say this to you that's listening and don't like it, like, for 96 weeks the next 2 years, like, you're shit out of luck, pal.
Sorry.
I don't know what to tell you. Just get on or get off. And I just looked up a quick little research report. Swearing actually proves that you're more intelligent than the humans that aren't swearing.
Fucking true.
'Cause you're speaking the truth more so. See that when you forced in there a little bit, but I think that's what people were saying that we did, which I do not, but it did feel like you did.
Remember when Tom Brady, most winning quarterback of all time, came on this radio network?
Oh yeah,
and dropped F-bombs?
Oh yeah, that was with Howard. It was actually a great interview.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here, AJ, is, and you know me, AJ, you know me pretty well at this point. Whenever a group of people that look like that old white that we just showed a photo of, started tweeting me about my language, what do you think my natural reaction for this particular show today was?
Your natural reaction was, hey, all right, I'm going to unleash on these people for 3 straight hours tomorrow. You're probably going to dox them almost and put them out there publicly and let people know who was complaining, I guess, about your first day on Sirius, or first day back, I should say, on Sirius Radio, first day on Mad Dog Radio Channel 82.
Oh, nailed it. Close, though. We actually looked up the most fucks used in anything, and it turns out it's Wolf of Wall Street. It's 306. 506 fuck bombs. So what we were going to do today is we're going to be a big fuck show. And I was going to break that record on the 3 shows, because I just don't enjoy the thought of somebody thinking they matter when they don't. Just shut up and listen to the show, or get the fuck out. Like, that is how I feel. That was my natural reaction. But then I thought about it. These people have built up an incredible community here at Mad Dog Sports Radio. We have been dropped into the middle of it. I did not know that the entire channel. So then cooler heads prevailed. But my immediate reaction was like, all right, 507 fucks tomorrow. That's what we're going to do. And I decided to back off, because I would like this serious relationship to work, Mr. AJ Hawk.
Yeah, well, was that their only issue with the show? I mean, obviously, no matter what, if you do a show, like, there should be good and bad on both sides. Everyone needs feedback. But were they able to see through the cuss words into the content and what you were actually saying?
No. You got to remember, that particular batch of old whites there, they don't listen to anything.
Blinders on.
Yeah, they kind of have their horse
So
race.
what do they want, though? What do you think they want?
Well, frickin', I'll tell you what. Tonight, whenever the Chiefs play the Texans, there's a good chance that Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes will do a 5-step drop on 37% of his plays. He will be in a shotgun 67% of the time, and when he throws the ball, it'll be right-handed unless it's left-handed like he has shown he could do in the past. Tyreek Hill runs just as fast as a cheetah. His Twitter is actually @cheetah. He'll be running all over the field with Andy Reid's wide use of formations and what they can do to distract that. AJ, what are your thoughts on the Houston Texans offense and the Houston Texans defense that we're going to see tonight?
You know what? It's about time you start doing the show that you should be doing. Thank you. You gave me some great insight there. I might have to go adjust the lines and make some bets.
This always happens though. The old whites, normally executives, people get caught off by my delivery of the words that I'm saying, that they're not listening to the actual words that I'm saying. And then once they start listening or they're forced to listen or whatever, they're like, oh, you're actually pretty smart when it comes to like breaking down sports. It's like, yeah, no shit. Take a hike, pal. It's been happening my whole life, AJ. It's been happening my whole life, you know?
Change is tough for people, man. Change is uncomfortable at times for some people, but a lot of times change is good.
Change is good, by the way. You know what change is? Change is a reborn energy. Change is a little bit of an added emphasis on your day-to-day because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Change actually boosts everybody's performance. That's what change does.
I guess so. It can, or it can crash and burn.
The opposite. Yeah, it can go the complete opposite way. We've talked about this game tonight, obviously, because we're excited. Thursday, September 10th, 2020, big-ass day. The NFL is back. Woo! The NFL, since the beginning, has said, we're not changing anything. We're going to have the draft when we have the draft. We're going to have this when we have this. We're going to have the season when we have the season. Now, there's only going to be 17,000 fans in the stands tonight whenever the banner's dropped or whatever it is, and they have the whole thing for the game. But I feel as if this is going to be a blowout tonight, AJ. I think the Chiefs are going to blow out the Texans. And I could eat my words tomorrow, potentially. And I know that there's a brand new audience listening to me, and I just said that I know my shit about football, so go ahead and listen to it. But the more and more I think about it, the Chiefs got better this offseason. The Chiefs kept their core around 18 of 22 starters. In an offseason like this, I think familiarity with each other is crucial. It's paramount at this point. The Texans have either gotten the same or worse at this point. It just feels like we're potentially set up for a blowout here.
Yeah, we definitely are set up for a blowout. I know when it's on NBC tonight, they sure don't want to blow out. But I guess if you're the
doesn't
Texans,
matter.
You get down early. You got to get worried if you're down 14 early to the Chiefs.
Well, and also I think with the momentum, with no fans in the stands or any energy, if you get down, there's a lot of potential like kind of curl on a ball thing. But for what you just said there about the NBC not wanting a blowout, I think these numbers are going to be. They are going to be massive tonight.
They will, but they want them to stay all 4 quarters. And if it's a blowout, people will start to turn it off unless you have a bunch of money on the game.
Which we do here.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of money on the game. 9.5 is the spread tonight. How do you feel? Texans plus 9.5, Chiefs minus 9.5.
I mean, I like the Chiefs, and
everybody does.
Okay,
that's what we're talking about.
It's not good.
It's not good. That's not good, AJ.
No.
We all agree with
terrible.
that.
It's not good. You're right. It does make me worry when it's like, oh, yeah, of course the Chiefs are going to win this one. Of course the Chiefs are just going to roll through the regular season and win another Super Bowl. We know how difficult that is, how many things have to fall in place. But I think at least week 1, when you look at everything involved, you're right. The continuity, the fact that they were able to keep everybody around, they're not counting on a bunch of young guys that they are unproven to make a bunch of plays tonight. And the Texans do have a lot of new pieces that the coaches and the GM, the scout, everyone there are going to be like, all right, well, let's see what we got. Let's see if we got better. We don't know.
Dante Hall joined us last hour, and he said all the reports coming out of camp. He got a Super Bowl ring, by the way, for being an ambassador of the Kansas City Chiefs, which let's go Colts. Let's go Colts. Let's go Colts. Let's see if I get a Super Bowl ring that I didn't earn. I mean, that's something that should be on my
Help design it, maybe.
Just put that son bitch right here. I would do. He said that all the reports on training camp are like competitive. They're adding shit to the playbook as opposed to just restarting the playbook. I mean, he said all reports coming out of camp is like all systems are go right now for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. And I've been watching a lot of mic'd up on YouTube from different players around the league. They have them mic'd up and they'll put them out, like Gronk, Patrick Mahomes. I tell you what, I watched Julio Jones mic'd up, and that dude is so impressive. The little things he was working on. He was a coach on the field, but he was like real positive to his guys. He had the dragon, which foot you need to put down so when you're catching the ball on the sidelines. Like that was stuff that a lot of people don't know. There's a lot of receivers in the NFL that don't know that, and those tiny little things that he's working on all the time. I mean, there's a reason the guy is an absolute physical freak, but you pair that with how he works and like his attention to detail, yeah, there's a reason the guy can't be stopped.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that, and I said earlier in the show that I guess I bet differently and pick my games differently and talk about football in a different fashion. I talk about the humans, right, that are playing, because I think that doesn't get accounted for enough. Like, for instance, Aaron Rodgers is going to be in a situation this year where he could potentially just burn the whole thing down. Like just the human Aaron Rodgers is. There's a chance he just potentially just goes on a streak for maybe 45,000 yards. Yeah. Because he's the human. That's how I look at things. So those mic'd up segments that get put on social media, like that's how I learn about everybody. That's how I like, all right, I want to, if they have somebody mic'd up, like, all right, I want to learn about this human so that whenever I make a decision later in the season, I know what human at least I'm betting on here. Dwayne Haskins mic'd up. I was very impressed with. Now, I talked about him not thanking the lady for bringing him an orange Gatorade in the mic'd up segment, which was the only drawback, but I think he was in the middle of another conversation. Other than that, I was very impressed by him. He was named captain here in his second year. Last year, building was on fire. Building's still on fire. Brand new team name, Washington football team. Dwayne Haskins named captain. We didn't even know he was going to be a starter. We had no idea what they were going to do. Ron Rivera was talking about how it's going to be competitive and all this shit with Kyle Allen and Alex Smith coming back. But you pair that with Dwayne Haskins, Kyler Murray, Joey Burrow, all these young quarterbacks getting a captain nod. I think that says a lot about them. Now, a lot of these captain votes are complete shit, but I do think that says a lot from Ron Rivera to put it on Dwayne, Cliff Kingsbury to put it on Kyler, in Cincinnati be like, hey, Joe, you know the deal. We don't have an indoor practice facility, but we did get you for the first overall pick. Like, I think that's a big deal and says a lot about this next generation of quarterbacks in the NFL.
I think we as fans of the NFL are living through an amazing time of young quarterback play. Like, can you look back and think of another time? I understand like everyone always is biased to like when they were a kid or when they grew up, but right now, like this is the golden age for quarterbacks in the NFL, I feel like.
Yeah, everybody says golden age for punters and golden age for quarterbacks that we're in right now. Yeah. A lot of big balls being kicked. Yeah, punters are all good right now. You can't just have a big leg and not be consistent being the NFL. But the quarterbacks, it seems like Kyler Murray, and I don't know much about quarterbacks, but Kyler Murray was a problem last year. And Cliff Kingsbury, it was his first year in the NFL as a head coach. They were, I think, trying to figure it out a little bit. And Kyler Murray, he has the chance now, after seeing what Lamar Jackson has done, after seeing what Patrick Mahomes has done, and what that offense at the end of the season, and adding DeAndre Hopkins. They lose A.Q. Shipley, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Huge.
Big deal. They lose A.Q. Shipley. But adding DeAndre Hopkins, having Larry Fitzgerald, having another year under his belt, he has the chance to really do something special for Arizona, and nobody's talking about them. Nobody at all is talking about Kyler Murray, like, in a little bit, not even just a little bit.
Well, don't you think that's a little bit of Kyler Murray's personality? I mean, I know Cliff Kingsbury, you read anything he says, he's like, I can barely get the guy to speak. Like, he doesn't talk a whole lot. And Kyler Murray's not like this loud, boisterous guy, but when he's on the field, you can see his positive energy and how everyone rallies around him. But he's not big into self-promotion or anything, I feel like. But Kyler, you're right. He's an absolute problem. And I think it's good. I think Cliff and everyone in Arizona should be happy that nobody's really talking about them right now. Just let them fly under the radar as long as they can and just keep winning games and try to make a run at the end.
They've had a seat in that under the radar thing for like, what, 10, 15 years?
Just about, I think.
Since the Super Bowl.
Just kind of the bird gang out there is just kind of flying right underneath the radar and then through the season, then just out into the offseason and right back into the season.
What about Baker, though? Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, they're definitely under the radar this year as compared to last year.
They are.
A little bit.
They are. Baker, I mean, they came into the scene there a couple days ago for a lie,
under the plastic,
allegedly event that happened. But is that why you brought up the Cleveland Browns? But Baker Mayfield, this is the year he's gonna prove right now this year whether he's an NFL quarterback or not. And I think he probably knows that. New GM, new head coach. And I was told this once, and I assume this happens a lot. There's no loyalty between us. We did not bring you to this team. Like, that is something that is said. New GM, new head coach, new system. Baker Mayfield coming off the year he had last year where he even self-admittedly didn't play as well and wasn't in as good a shape. With all those weapons, with a new organization basically, if he does not play great football this year, I would assume he knows that he's probably on his way out of Cleveland, and who knows where else he will end up or what his story will be. So I think there's a lot on the line for Baker to have the best football season that he could possibly have.
Oh, there's a ton on the line, and their defense should be pretty good. So I think the Browns are sitting in a good spot, too. And it's funny, you said, oh, why did I bring up the Browns? That was not the reason. I honestly just, Baker popped into my head because I'm thinking, I'm going down the line, looking at and thinking of all the great quarterback play right now in the NFL and thinking of guys that could kind of blow up this year.
No.
But I was on the phone earlier today.
Blow up.
Hey, that was not by design. There's not
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Just jumping all over the team. I mean, unbelievable.
Hey, Big Mike always said, it's by design. Like, he always used that.
That's Coach Mike McCarthy, by the way, for those that don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, so no, what I was trying to tell you, I was on the phone. My wife called me earlier today. We were talking about something. 2 of my kids were in the car with her, and she's like, hey, what's going on? This was this morning. What's going on with Odell? And I was like,
oh, see, he did.
Yeah.
What? I was like, are you on speaker? She's like, yeah. I was like, I'll chat about it when you get home, but I don't think it's true. She's like, all right, and she hung up.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people did that, by the way, but that was all a lie. And we were very much. By the way, we don't know if that was a lie. We are not positive. We are not positive that was a lie, but we took the stance firmly that we can't have that be happening. Like one person can't just be going on something and then just saying something completely outrageous, and then we all wake up and there's 50,000 tweets about it.
Slippery slope.
Like that can't. Oh, don't even get a chance to say like yeah or no. And by the way, if it's yes, hey, do what you got to do, bub. Whatever makes you catch football is better. Whatever you got to do what you do. But boy, that thing ran very quickly without anybody, really getting a chance to fight it. Perfect timing for the drop. It must happen at midnight or like maybe 1 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, just about.
Because that was a nice little good morning surprise. Like,
seriously,
we got some stuff going on. So we'll move past that. But Baker Mayfield, when he plays freaking football, what he always does is when he's in a shotgun. Now, granted, he had a coach last year that called a draw, which is a handoff to your running back, which is not normally designed for a lot of yardage, on a 4th and 18 call last year, which raised a lot of eyebrows for whether or not he was being surrounded by good coaching and good play design, a la Freddie Kitchens. But what Baker Mayfield does when he's in shotgun and he feels pressure, he always runs to the right. And when he runs to the right, he is not faster than the defensive end that is chasing him. And the secondary knows that he will be running to his right, their left, and they actually have play designs for that when there's an extension of the play, and there was no positive whenever he would get outside the pocket. I think that is something he should change this year if he wants to be better at the football quarterback position as well, AJ.
Sure, I guess. That was your Schefter?
No, that was my boring fucking host that these old whites would like to hear.
Mad Dog voice.
Yeah, Mad Dog.
You have so many different characters, you throw me off.
Speaking character, why is Clay Matthews not joining our show? He said he would use our show as an outlet if he was ever pissed off about something, and it seems like we are directly in the middle of something that he is pissed off about. Adam Schefter reported that he told Denver Broncos that he's not going to play. Then Clay Matthews came out off the top rope on Schefter and said, that never happened. We were unable to come to an agreement. So that makes me think that the Broncos were potentially offering him a bag of balls to play this season in replacement of Von Miller, who is going to be out for at least 3 months. He's got surgery now on his foot. We'll see if he can come back. He put out a tweet that said, what would Kobe Bryant do? Kobe Bryant would have shot 2 free throws. Then he would have got surgery and came back and dominated. So that is a very interesting little telling piece of information. Clay Matthews was not happy that Adam Schefter was reporting he's not going to play. So that means Clay Matthews is looking to play. It just wasn't the right amount of money or situation for him to go play there. What have you heard from Clay? Have we tried to get him on this show? And why is he not joining us right now, AJ?
I don't know I don't know exactly what Clay is thinking right now. And I think I would be upset too, I guess, if you just weren't able to work out a contract with the team and then somebody leaks. I don't know who told Schefter that he's done playing, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of slander a little bit. Like, what if other teams don't follow up? Or you would hope they would. A good team would. They would read the next tweet when Clay comes out and says this. But yeah, to say a guy's retired, I mean, don't float that out there when Clay's not thinking that.
According to my sources, Schefter had to come out and say that he had a misquote there in that Clay Matthews is still playing because when I read Schefter's tweet, by the way, and Schefter is right much more often than he is wrong. I mean, he's got to be batting like 999.
I don't think Schefter just made this up. I think somebody told Schefter that Clay wasn't going to play.
And by the way, Schefter is plugged in very high everywhere. That's why Schefter is Schefter. Like, that is just the way it goes. So Schefter bats like 999. There are some things he gets wrong. I think potentially the Alvin Kamara unexcused absence thing he got wrong, but he was told wrong information by somebody who didn't know what was going on down there. But for this particular case, whenever Schefter said Denver expressed interest in signing former Rams and Packers linebacker Clay Matthews, but was told he is not going to play, when I read that while I was taking my morning grumpy or whatever, I was surprised. I was like, Clay told us he was going to play. Like, so I actually, and I would assume a lot of coaches, a lot of staff were like, oh, Clay's not even going to play. I mean, because if Schefter says something, it's basically gospel. And then Clay Matthews woke up a few hours later and was like, whoa, I'm retired now? Wait a minute, that is not true. And then the 2 rat emojis are probably my favorite thing of that entire thing.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, I'm sure it just was whatever the contract looked like. It was probably super heavily incentive-laden contract to where, like, he has to be on the the game day roster bonuses or whatever. They make it to where he's got to dress and be healthy the whole year to get any kind of decent money above what league minimum is for his time in the league right now. But yeah, to say that he's retired and he's not playing, yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand why you'd be upset.
Yeah, please tell him we understand why he'd be upset, and we would like to be a place where he can air his grievances. Dr. Pat will ask all the questions and be a soundboard if he wants to go ahead and let that shit out.
Is this Elway just pulling a Kardashian and telling a bunch of people in the building, a bunch of stuff about different players, and then, Schefter tweets one, and you figure out who those 2, possibly 3 rats are in the organization.
So John Elway's like, we got to figure this out. So we'll tell this person that he's not going to play. We'll tell this person he said it's not enough money. We'll tell this person that he didn't pass a physical until we can get him in the building. And then whichever one gets the Schefter, then we know which one is which.
Who's the rat?
That's what Kim Kardashian and Kanye West did. That was a good idea.
For their baby names, is that what they did?
Yeah, it's really smart.
Worked.
Did they find out who the rat was?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Couple of them.
Snip, snip. Get the hell out of the crew, pal. You can't watch basketball on 100-foot screen that Kanye had last night. I don't know if you saw that. He was watching in front of a 100-foot projection screen all by himself, arms crossed, standing, staring at the wall like this. Kanye's wild.
Who took the picture, though?
Probably Kim. She's no longer keep up with Kardashian.
North or something.
Got nothing else to do.
North, yeah, probably.
I know she's a lawyer, though.
Let's go to Caleb in Alabama. Caleb, what's going on? This guy stinks.
Classic Bama. Classic Bama.
Caleb, Alabama.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, roll tide?
War Eagle.
Oh, that's on me. That's 100%. I apologize for that, Caleb. What do you want to talk about, brother?
I just wanted to know why everyone thinks this is going to be a rebuild year for the Patriots when Cam Newton has literally played his entire career with only one offensive weapon at a time.
Great question.
Well, don't you think people are saying it's a rebuild? You lose Tom Brady, one of the greatest to ever do it. Half of your defense opts out, it seems like.
We quit.
Or gets traded.
You have a lot of guys that opted out early. And you are replacing Tom Brady, so it's a new era. I wouldn't call it a rebuilding time for the Patriots. So I don't know who all is saying that. I just think there's so much unknown. Like, we don't know what they're going to have, and I don't think the Patriots know what they have yet.
So our first year with Luck, everybody was calling it a rebuilding year. And Robert Mathis, who is one of the most intimidating humans of all time, okay, literally, and by the way, nicest humans of all time.
Great guy.
If he likes you. I don't recommend people just running up on Robert Mathis and be like, hey, heard you're the nicest guy of all time. What's going on? Like, I don't recommend that. But if he knows you, nicest guy, he came into our office for 3 hours, just hung out.
The man.
Like, he's the man. He said, this ain't no rebuilding. This is a reloading season, okay? Ooh. So, like, the framing of it, I actually enjoyed that. I was like, oh, that's actually like a really good, hey, that's good marketing, by the way. Like, hey, Robert, that's a really good marketing way to look at it. But it feels like that's what's happening for New England. It feels like it's a reload. Like, hey, here we go. Let's empty it out. Out goes Tom Brady. Out goes Chung. Out goes everybody else that decided just to leave the program. In comes Cam Newton. In comes Stephon Gilmore. In comes a new leadership group. Like Julian Edelman. It's like, it really does feel like it's a reloading year. But Tom Curran, okay, and I cannot harp on this enough because he might be right. And our show had this information, and none of us chose to listen to it in here because Bill Belichick's still there, and Ernie's still there, and Josh McDaniels is still there. He said that watching the practices, even if the Patriots fail early sometimes, like first couple weeks, they're still trying to figure out their team. They're still trying to figure out what they do right, and there's never any sense of panic. Bill Belichick is always like, we're on to Cincinnati. We're like, it doesn't matter. Nobody even thinks, like, we still got to figure it out. We got to play our best football December, January, February. That's all we got to do. We don't care about right now, which is what a lot of good teams do. And I asked him, I said, if that happens this year, will the Patriots fans be patient with the Patriots knowing that this happens on a regular basis? And he was like, buddy, the cavalry's not coming over the hill in October. This team stinks is basically what he said.
Yeah.
This team is not a good team. I still feel like if you have Bill Belichick coaching, you are still going to win games no matter what. It's like Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback. The Dolphins could have been trying to tank all they want, but if you have that fucking guy playing quarterback, he's not going to lose every game. That's just what happens. With Bill Belichick, he will outsmart the other coach more often than not and win you some games. And I truly believe that. In my soul, I truly believe that. That's why it's hard for me to hear all these people say they're going to stink.
Well, Belichick is the king of taking guys that other teams cut or released or undrafted guys and finding a role for them, whatever small or big that role may be. So that's one thing that they will always have going for them as long as Bill Belichick is at the helm. But also, you brought in Cam Newton.
Yes.
Like, you can't call it a rebuild when you have Cam Newton. Like, if it was Stidham or Hoyer possibly, Hoyer's got some reps. He's started football games. But if you had a young dude that wasn't proven at the quarterback position, then you could maybe call it a rebuild. But with Cam Newton there, no, you absolutely, I just wouldn't call it a rebuild. We just don't know. I think it's unknown what they're going to be, and I think they're going to be a very different team the first 6 games compared to the last 10 games that they are for this upcoming season.
I think we just got to be patient with the Patriots like we always do. We got to get to a break. 27 minutes after the hour now. Hey, shout out to us breaking that news at 27th minute.
Wow. Let's go.
I don't know if anybody else got that in any other. It is 27 minutes after 2 in the Eastern Daylight Time, and it is daylight instead of savings because of the clock situation in Daylight Savings Time. So it's actually EDT, not EST. Games will be starting at 1 EDT this Sunday. Tonight's game starts at
8:20
EDT.
Hell yeah.
This is Sports Talk with McAfee and Hawk. We'll be back on the other side answering your phone calls. This is Thursday, September 10th, NFL start date. Football happens today, which is a sport that involves footballs and scoring. Have a day.
I got a mic for 15 seconds before I hit the anvil. I've been trying to time myself out for 15 seconds. I've never spoken for 15 seconds before. There's no chance. It's a new era for college football. All right, let's go. You're all badasses. Thank you all for your service. Have an incredible day out there. It's the safest place in America right now. Holy hell. All right, everybody smile. You're probably not supposed to. Hey, safe travels. We appreciate the hell out of all of you. Go kick ass. Hoo-ah. Hey, the best game in the history of the drumline is going to be today. You guys are going to steal the show and set the How's it going? My name's Pat. I swing a big hammer, and when I talk, people listen. A long fucking day. So I had to switch it to damn. When I get going like that, it really catches. Hey, big blown swing today, huh? Another week about to start, Foxy. Triple H texted me, said he enjoyed it. Nice. He said if anybody's making fun of you for the size of your hammer, just tell them it's not the size, it's how you swing it.
this?
I have no idea. Welcome back to McAfee and Hawk here.
Oh.
Oh no. Yeah.
Oh. Is this a Zach Brown band?
Jeez. With Maroon 5?
This is good. We have to play hack music because we're live on YouTube, and we will get striked and took down. But I do believe there will be some shows we'll do only on Sirius so we can play some bangers. Ooh. Big music show. That's why anytime we hear music that resembles something potentially good, we all lose our mind. Please stop there. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk currently happening Thursday, September 10th. AJ, let's get to the phones here, shall we? Let's go to Tim. Tim. No location, just Tim. This might be my father. What's going on, Tim?
Tim from nowhere.
I'm from Illinois.
Oh boy.
But got a question for AJ Hawk.
Okay.
What about the Pac-12 and the Big Ten playing the Rose Bowl this year, later in the season? Those two are out. Just get an that bowl game. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, that game's going to stink, but I'll let you answer, AJ.
Wait, so what's the question? Do you play the Rose Bowl game at the normal time or bump it back in the spring?
Spring. They're talking about since the Big Ten and Pac-12 are trying to have spring football, which I think is going to have a lot of players not play because there's a chance for a fall season, which is much more bigger and important. I'm intrigued to see your thoughts on the potential of a spring Rose Bowl game.
I don't see it gaining a whole lot of traction. I don't feel like this spring football idea is gaining a whole lot of traction right now either. Like I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of people clamoring to see this spring football. Everyone's kind of like, hey, it's in the fall or bust, like where we move on to the next season to 2021, I feel.
And it feels like bust, by the way.
Yes.
It's dead. General Bob Carpenter, he's redlining some things today, and he's been going back.
The deadline, right?
Well, yeah, tomorrow is the deadline that General Bob Carpenter put on the Big Ten to put football back in there. And for those that don't know, General Bob Carpenter is a former teammate of A.J. Hawk, Ohio State legend, Dallas Cowboy. He has been leading the charge on the internet for the Big Ten fans and players and athletic directors and coaches and everything like that, giving out email addresses and phone numbers and addresses to reach people that could make the decision of the Big Ten football postponement overturned. But it feels like he is fighting quite an uphill battle, and it might be General Bob Carpenter's last stand here today and tomorrow. It feels like Big Ten football is not coming back, although a lawyer in your town, there's General Bob Carpenter right there riding out in a Jeep. These picture of him just popped up being in the Face app. Nick and Zito went to town last night.
Give the guy stars. I mean, he's not a major.
But AJ, a lawyer in Columbus went through the bylaws of the Big Ten, and they said you only need.
Yeah, so they think as of right now, the bylaws say that you need 60%, which is a majority vote to reduce the number of sporting events in a member's schedule. But this lawyer believes that they only need a simple majority, which would be 8 teams, in order to basically have 8 teams play, and then the other remaining teams wouldn't play.
AJ, do you know the lawyer, and what is General Bob Carpenter feeling? Because it feels like he is potentially getting beat in this war just strictly because the people he's battling against, I don't even think know that he's battling against them out there in the fields.
No, they don't. The people that I mean, I guess I just wonder, like, what Kevin Warren, like, how much of this he hears, what he's like, what his day to day looks like. The commissioner of the Big Ten right now, like, what is he dealing with day to day? You know, we know he had a call with the president like a week or two ago. There's all this news back and forth. Like, who does he talk to? Who's he reaching out?
The president of who?
The United States. Trump.
Kevin Warren.
All the resources.
I thought you were talking about General Bob Carpenter was having a call with the president. That's on me.
That's coming.
General's his own president.
Bob's available. If Trump wants to give him a ring, Bob's available to talk things through and lay his plan out, I think.
I think we have been very adamant on this show that we are very much for the Big Ten coming back and playing football strictly from a football meathead.
Who was against it? Is there anyone out there that's against the Big Ten not coming back other than Kevin Warren and a couple presidents?
Michigan State doctors, we found out yesterday.
Are against everything.
University of Michigan, which, by the way, Michigan State doctors being against anything is really quite interesting. The Michigan doctor, Illinois, I guess, Rutgers, Maryland.
The war on football, people.
Yeah, the people that hated football a couple years ago and thought football was going to go away are the people making. Oh, geez, that's tough. Those people are now making the. That's on me too, by the way. Those people are now making the decision on whether or not football happens. And I've said this literally since day one. And the fact that the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 are happening, I think is very surprising. And I think that is because football is different in those particular conferences. But the people that are making the decision on football happening or not are the same people who probably don't love football to begin with. And a couple of years ago, whenever there was a war on football, they're probably part of the people that are like, our research is saying this, this, and this. And that's not everybody, obviously, that's making these decisions. There's people that like it. But the people that are making the call in Big Ten, the report from Sports Illustrated said that they thought they were going to be heroes for making this decision. And instead, it's been the complete opposite, I feel like, especially in the Big Ten. Pac-12 has been quiet as a church mouse, but over here in Big Ten, it's been loud.
They openly said they didn't know the clout of football. Like, they didn't understand. Clout of sport, sorry. Yeah, they had no idea.
That makes no sense, AJ. Makes no sense, dude.
Yeah, I guess they're dealing with so many different people in their jobs that they don't really pay attention to how important sports truly are to people. But you mentioned Rutgers. How mad is Greg Schiano right now? He comes back to Rutgers, he's feeling good. I know he hit the recruiting trail hard early on, and then all of a sudden, bam, it gets shut down. And we know, like, Greg Schiano is a football guy. I don't know his feelings towards this whole situation, but I'm guessing he's leaning towards wanting to play football.
I would assume that every football coach is leaning towards wanting to play football. And I started to realize this during this show today, and literally during the show I started thinking about this, because we've talked about the recruiting ripple effect of teams that are playing this year getting quite an advantage over the teams that aren't. Just if you're trying to win somebody over and their family over, and it's easy to point out like, oh, that school right there hates you. They don't even want to play. This school loves you. But if this season goes to complete shit for college football, for the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12, I think then the Big 10 and the Pac-12 people will be like, look what we did. We called it. We didn't even waste our time. We didn't even waste potential health risks or anything like that. We knew this ahead of time this was going to happen. So if the Big 10 or if the Big 12, ACC, and the SEC have an entire season, I think everybody's like, okay, Big 10, Pac-12, this is going to be tough for you guys.
Stooges.
But if something happens with this college football season where it gets stopped early or suspended or something, like teams start dropping out, which potentially happen, I guess, that will be when the Big 10 and the Pac-12, Kevin Warrens of the world, will be having press conferences asking for questions, please. I think that is when I would be peacocking if I was Kevin Warren. So I guess I can see an upside in this whole thing, but it would have to revolve around something terrible happening.
Yeah, unfortunately for the people that are against football being played and the people that make the decisions to shut it down, they can say whatever they want, but deep down, they don't want the season to go off without a hitch, because you're right. Like, for them, not only for job security, for just the equity you can build up with the public, the people that are fans of your universities, like for you to feel confident, you got to, like, the season has to be derailed somehow. And unfortunately, you're right. That'd be a terrible thing. People would have to get sick. They would shut down football. And yeah, we don't want anyone else getting hurt or sick, but man, it's just a bad situation all around.
77 teams are playing college football this year. Air Force is the 77th team. They're playing Army and Navy. Okay, so that's the only two games. 77 teams are playing college football this year. There are notable teams that aren't playing. We'll see who's right, who made the right decision, and I can't wait to see the season unfold. I think we got some good shot at some small schools potentially stealing some limelight that they don't normally get in the regular circumstances. Let's pivot back to the NFL because we are on kickoff day. Nobody thought we were going to get here. Can't believe that they've all bought in and not had any positive COVID tests over whatever for however long it has been.
Yeah.
The testing process, the practice, the training camp, everybody has kind of bought in. And the mantra is it's going to take all of us. There's been a lot of photos on social media by players, I assume, that has been given to them by their teams or the NFL. Like, hey, it's going to take all of us. We got to buy in. They've been able to do that. Here we are on opening day. And the best thing to do whenever a season starts is predict immediately what the last page is going to look like.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, AJ, since we are a big sports show, what we are going to do is we are going to talk about our Super Bowl winners and who will be playing in the Super Bowl. AJ, I would like you to go first. Who will be representing the AFC, which is the American Football Conference, against the NFC, which is the National Football Conference, in the Super Bowl that will be taking place in Tampa Bay, which is a city in Florida, and it's on the water.
So I went back and forth on this thing a million times when you told me we were going to be picking our Super Bowl winners right now on the day of
Sports
the NFL kickoff.
Yeah, makes sense.
I tried to talk myself out of the Kansas City Chiefs, Pat. I really did, because I know that's the easy pick. Everyone says, well, yeah, look at the Chiefs. They're loaded on paper. Patrick Mahomes, man, whatever. They should be good to go. But you know what? I'm sticking with them. I'm taking the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl. Okay. That is definitely my AFC pick. I just can't see anyone taking them out unless someone like Patrick Mahomes goes down and he's unable to play the second half of the season.
Why would you do that?
That's the only way I see something going wrong with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Easy.
Are you wishing COVID or an injury on Patrick Mahomes?
Easy.
Not at all. I'm saying if he can stay healthy, if he's not hurt.
Calm down.
All right,
Just
relax.
like every other team in the NFL that has a franchise quarterback. If your franchise quarterback is healthy, you have a chance to win.
Okay, and who's in the NFC? Who's representing the NFC in the Super Bowl?
The NFC, this may surprise you a little bit, but throughout my research, what I was doing, I just can't get off the Dallas Cowboys.
That boy, AJ.
Big Mike!
Again, I have to make a pick because I'm doing this show with you. But yeah, I'm taking Cowboys versus Chiefs.
Is this obligatory cowboy talk from AJ Hawk? Thank you for that.
Look at him, huh?
Thank you for us doing that. What made you think that the Cowboys are going to make the Super Bowl? What made you decide that? Is that because their team is stacked? Is it because you like their schedule? Is it because the NFC East is a clusterfuck? What is exactly the reasoning for why you think the Dallas Cowboys will represent the NFC over the 49ers, over the Saints, over the Buccaneers, over a lot of teams that are packed to the gills with talent as well? What makes you think the Dallas Cowboys, who are perpetual average football teams, what makes you think they're going to take it over the hump and make it to the Super Bowl? I'm excited for this. This is going to do well on the internet, so I like that a lot.
Well, I think Dak Prescott obviously is primed to have a hell of a year. I think DeMarcus Lawrence is there. Bradley and they brought in another guy that can rush the passer. Oh, by the way, Alden Smith, this dude who was an absolute monster for a while. If they can get any kind of production out of Alden Smith.
Alden Smith, center?
Gigantic, yeah. Alden Smith is listed as a starter right now for the Dallas Cowboys. I've watched that guy firsthand, what he could do when he was with the Niners. Like, the guy is an absolute monster. I don't know what he's like now. I'm sure he's still pretty damn good. Yeah. And, you know, with Zeke, they brought in CeeDee Lamb, too, at the receiver position. I just feel like they're stacked, and I understand the Cowboys have had one of the most talented rosters in the NFL for multiple times where they didn't make a run in the playoffs, and they really, I guess, underachieved. But I feel like McCarthy has whatever it takes. He's taken the reins a little bit. He and Jerry seem to be in sync, and I feel like the Cowboys can get it done.
When was the last time Alden Smith played?
It's like 4 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago.
2016, I believe. 2015.
Oh, my Lord. Because he ran into some problems right off the field.
He was an all-pro, though. Correct?
But he was the life he was living off the field, if we know anything. The fact that he was able to play the way he was playing on the field while also doing whatever he was doing off the field, if he's focused in at all and still has any left in the tank, good for the Dallas Cowboys. And I do believe that Big Mike, Coach Mike McCarthy, who has the resume to have success and has gotten teams to places that they haven't been before, I think it's a good match made in heaven. I'm not going to go with the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC. For me, I'm going with, are we doing on paper? Yeah, we're doing on paper. You know why we're doing on paper? Because we haven't seen a fucking thing from anybody.
Yep.
So I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who represent the NFC. How you doing? Keep it moving. They got Tom Brady, obviously. They got Bruce Arians, who's a guy who has won a Super Bowl before. He's been there, done that with everything. Clyde Christensen, great quarterback coach, will be able to keep that team together. Tom Moore's down there with his wealth of knowledge, beating up COVID-19 at the age of 79 or 90, maybe 105 years old. I like the coaching staff down there. I like Tom Brady. I like Gronk. I like the defense in the second year under Todd Bowles. On paper, that team, even if Mike Evans doesn't play for the first couple weeks because of a hamstring injury, they got A.Q. Shipley on that team now.
Yeah.
That team on paper looks like they are going to be dominant. Now, they have to get past the New Orleans Saints in the NFC South. That's going to be a problem. I guess the Dallas Cowboys are going to be a problem in the NFC as well, says A.J. Hawk and most media members, because it moves the needle whenever you say that. But I do believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be in the Super Bowl that their city will be hosting. And I think that'll be the first time ever.
Yes.
First time ever. And in the AFC, I had the same exact conversation you had, pal. I don't know how they have 18 and 22 starters that they've locked down for at least the next 5 years, all of them. I don't know how the Kansas City Chiefs have gotten better this offseason. I don't know how they have figured out to keep everybody together. I don't know how they have kept their coaching staff together. It makes no sense what they've been doing, and they've been able to keep that competitive juice, so let's run this son of a bitch back. They got the face of the NFL right now, a quarterback. He seems determined to go and do more and accomplish more. They have the same amount of preparation time. The OTAs and everything like that getting canceled only helps them. Patrick Mahomes said he didn't learn how to read a defense until last year, midway through the season. That team seems to be hot. I don't know how you stop them. I guess you could potentially wish COVID on him.
Yes, like AJ.
Like AJ Hawk, I guess.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely not. I wasn't even thinking COVID, honestly, when I made that comment. If you could
Seriously, life changed. You weren't even thinking knee. Jeez.
What's the last positive test we've had in the NFL? Like, that's not a thing. They're figured it out so far.
Oh, it's not a thing. Oh,
He's talking it into the world.
Truther.
I agree with you. By the way. It is not a thing. Let's just act like it's not a thing, and then it just won't be a thing.
White says
we're talking football, right? We're not talking like
world. We're not talking
We've
world.
talked COVID enough. Like, we're talking strictly football right now.
And right now, if you have to predict the Super Bowl, which is what sports shows have to do, this is something that has to happen on the opening days. You have to predict who's going to win. You have to go strictly off of paper, and I think the Chiefs and the Bucks are a team that's going to make a run. Now, I'll be surprised if the Patriots stink, which a lot of people are saying they'll stink. I'll be very surprised by that. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a great year. I think Marshall Yonda leaving is a big deal that hasn't been talked about enough in the offensive line. I think the Colts are going to be damn good for them to make a run. I just think the Chiefs are going to be quite a task, and they're going to be hot tonight. I think they win by a lot tonight, and I think they just keep that thing going. They got their eyes on the prize until something changes in a week or two when we redo this entire prediction thing.
Well, you mentioned the NFC East, and when you look at the NFC East, like, other than the Cowboys, well, I guess the Cowboys, there's still a lot up in the air as well, but the Eagles, like, we don't know. I feel like they are regressing. It just sounds, whatever's coming out of camp, it doesn't seem like they have everyone has a ton of confidence in them. The Giants, I don't know what the Giants are going to be. I think they're going to be improved. I don't know what that means. They only had 4 wins last year. In Washington, Dwayne Haskins, like, that's an uphill battle. They'll be improved too, but what does that mean? Is that 5 wins?
Washington will be very tough to win there. I mean, everything in the NFL is eliminating distractions. I'm not sure with COVID, with a name change, with exposés coming out every other week, I don't know how easy it'll be. New head coach who has been diagnosed with a form of cancer. I don't know how. That's a lot of obstacles, especially with a young quarterback who's just been named captain. That seems like that is a rebuild operation there, okay? As opposed to a reload. That feels like that is a rebuild operation. But I think they got, hey, the sun is brightest after the darkest dawn. I think that's going to happen in Washington. I think there's going to be a bright sun over there. I don't know if it'll be with a new owner, which I'm potentially hearing is potentially going to happen, by the way. Is Snyder going to get forced out? Well, I don't know. Some sources have been telling me that it is potentially going to happen. But I think the NFC East is wide open for the Cowboys if they can just figure out. And without them having, this guy.
Here you go.
I wonder if that'll help him out. We shall see. All right, so who you got winning the Super Bowl in yours? Dallas Cowboys, Kansas City Chiefs.
I have the Dallas Cowboys.
AJ! Who is this guy?
Whoa! So you said everything about the Kansas City Chiefs and finding it impossible to go ahead and have anybody beat them in the AFC, but you're like, you know what? Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Big Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones, they'll slay the beast that is Kansas City Chiefs. That's what you're saying?
Yes, because I think the Super Bowl, it's a one-off. It's an outlier. It's not exactly what the full season, like whatever you did before that, obviously it's a new year. When you play that Super Bowl, it's whatever you do that night for those 60 minutes. And I feel like I just know how tough it may be for the Chiefs and the momentum they'll have. And they'll be a big favorite most likely if it's Chiefs-Cowboys in the Super Bowl. And I think the Cowboys find a way to take that underdog mentality and run with it.
You're going to be either loved or hated by people on the internet.
Hated.
I just want to let you know that.
Both. You should be both.
I have the Chiefs running it back, by the way, for anybody that's asking.
I mean, I wanted to do that, but I just know
that's
I know how tough it may be, and I just didn't want to. It's nothing, no slight against the Chiefs. I just know what they're going to have to do and what they have ahead of them.
All right, we got Mike on the line here.
McCarthy?
Mike from Ohio. I don't know if it's big Mike or small Mike. Mike, what's going on? Mike stinks.
Small Mike.
Mike stinks.
Can't even reach the telephone.
White Falcon over there in Kansas, the White Falcon. Welcome back, Bob. Great to hear from you again. How are you?
How you doing, Pat?
Hey, not too shabby. How are you? I think you were the one that told us that Patrick Mahomes is going to win the MVP whenever we were on Sirius years ago, and we told you were an idiot. And here we are years later saying this guy's going to win another Super Bowl.
That is 100% correct, and I got another hot take for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be the top fantasy football running back this year and offensive player of the year rookie.
Well,
I mean,
That's not that
because
crazy.
are you doing that off of Kareem
Best
Hunt's
offense.
success he had his first year when he was in Kansas City?
I think the reason why he's going to be successful is because defenses can't pack the box because of all the weapons they have and all the designs and all that shit. So I think he's going to pop for 15, 20 every once in a while just out of nowhere. Like, I think that's going to happen. Now, as a defensive stud that you are, middle linebacker, that is something that is true, right? Like, because of all the route concepts that they potentially have, all the weapons they have, you have to cover in the back end. You have to drop at least another safety back. The run game could potentially pop open. The Chiefs are not known for, by the way, the run game, but that is something that benefits from a great pass game is the run game, just like the run game benefits the pass game. They go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do. And they just have so many ways to beat you. And you're right, when you have a guy like Tyreek Hill with elite speed, it's tough to stack the box if you want to try to stop the run. So you might get some light boxes. And also with Edwards-Helaire, they're gonna motion him out. They're gonna get creative with him, put him in the pass routes, in the different concepts. Like, he'll have a nice little package. I think a lot of people are predicting tonight that he has a big night because Andy Reid tends to do well with young running backs like this, getting them involved, and no one really has any tape on him other than what he did in college. So yeah, tonight I think people really expect him to have like a coming out party, I guess, with how many millions of people will be watching the game. But it's when you have a great offensive play caller, it's such an important job. Whoever's calling the offensive plays right there is the most important gig on the staff.
Agreed, completely agreed. Clyde Edwards-Helaire tonight, over under 52.5. Everybody's saying hammer the over, it sounds like, for that. Texans, Chiefs minus 9.5. Everybody's saying hammer the Chiefs there. In the over under 53.5. Let's go ahead and hammer the over for that because that is how we feel here. But AJ, do you agree? Over under 53.5?
I want to take over, but I feel like it's going to be one way. It's going to be hit or miss. Either it's going to be way over, or it's going to be a weird, sloppy game where not a lot of points are scored.
I don't think it's going to be weird or sloppy strictly because I think Patrick Mahomes, that entire team is back. I
don't think it's going to be sloppy, but I'm saying, like, I don't know. It's possible that both of these fronts, both the Chiefs front and the defensive fronts, Chiefs defensive front and the Texans defensive front, they may be able to get a little bit more pressure than they normally would, I think, especially when if you have some new O-linemen in there and your O-line trying to figure out, and first time they're really full go contact game. We'll see how the third and fourth quarter look. I would imagine some guys will be a little bit tired.
It's going to be sloppy on special teams too. Look for some flags or some potential big mistakes in the special teams, but I don't think it matters. I think Chiefs win by a lot. If you're listening to the show, you should be listening to us in our voices with your Raycon wireless earbud. Raycon earbuds start about half the price as any other premium wireless earbud on the market. They sound just as amazing as the other top audio brands. Same boom, same nice noise isolating fit, and they're great for working from home, working out, listening to music, podcasts, live shows, you name it. Anything you can listen to or need to listen to, the earbuds make them sound great, and they're half the price of the other earbuds on the market. Their everyday E25 earbuds is their best model yet. 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a nice noise isolating fit. It also comes in new fun colors, doesn't it, AJ?
Absolutely. I have 3-4 different colors of them.
Yeah, it's because you got like 7-8 kids.
Yep. Yeah.
And they all wanted a pair. And by the way, when the E25 earbuds show up at your house, they come with different size things for your ears. So if you have a weird ear like I do and AJ does, it still finds a way to have a nice noise isolating fit. It is perfect for the inner ear. It is very, very nice. And it's got the boom booms and it's half the price. And right now, you can even save even more when you go to buyraycon.com/sports talk. You'll get 15% off your order. So it's already about half the price of the other premium wireless earbuds. Then you add another 15% off your order there.
No brainer.
I think because you have to do the math off the 50%, that's another 7.5% off. What is that? That's 42.5% you're paying of 100% price for what everybody else is paying.
Wow. Good math.
Do the math. BuyRaycon.com/sports talk. 15% off your order. The everyday E25 earbuds are electric. I love them. I use them every single day. We're wrapping up here on Sirius. AJ, anything you got to say to the Sirius listeners?
No, I don't think. I mean, I think your Super Bowl pick was pretty much, run of the mill what most people will pick.
What the hell does that mean?
This guy.
Wow.
Chiefs Bucks. I mean, how many people have picked that as the Super Bowl?
Well, they know.
Well, we'll see when we're fucking right. What do you want me to do? You want me to do a fucking Skip Bayless? Okay, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. That team's gonna rally behind Gardner Minshew.
Is that how Skip sounds?
I don't know. I don't listen to him. But do you want me to just make something up here? I guess I could do that.
Sure.
But that's not what I do. That's not what our show
stand by your
does.
picks.
For the good of the show, I can't do that.
Especially when you're right.
Anyways, we got 30
Stand
seconds
by.
left. Thanks for a good send-off there for the serious people.
Yes.
I would like to let the serious people know, if you're listening to the show, we appreciate you. If you have a problem with us, just go ahead and go somewhere else. Sirius has a lot of great channels, a lot of great shows, and a legend is going to be hopping on the air here in about 20 seconds. Man who had to give us the okay to be on this channel, and we appreciate it for him. Man who basically started Sports Talk alongside Francesa. Chris Mad Dog Russo is in 10 seconds on the other side of this. This has been the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, September 10th. We appreciate the hell out of you. We'll see you mañana. Attaboy, AJ. Hey, thanks, Joel.
Hey,
we appreciate
attaboy,
it,
Joel.
Joel. Attaboy, Joel.
Joel.
Hey, you too, Joel. Thanks, Joel.
All right, Joel.
Appreciate it, Joel.
All right, Joel. Talk to you later, Joel.
All right, Joel.
Good luck, Joel.
Not as much enthusiasm there from Joel today.
He kind of just wanted to get out.
Yeah, Joel, he kind of just wanted to get out of
Yeah,
there.
he was kind of done with us.
Sounded like kind of mailed it in, didn't it?
Yeah, it was
A little
weird.
bit.
Mailed in.
He wants to go home.
Working third shift.
Joel, we appreciate you, buddy. Get some sleep. We can't wait to see you tomorrow. I don't know. Yep, you got it. AJ, Dallas Cowboys, dude? Is that strictly because of Mike McCarthy?
Yeah,
that was very surprising to me. I did not expect you to go with the Dallas Cowboys. You said after doing my research here, blah blah blah. That is very much a like an obligatory radio show, talk show host answer because Cowboys move the needle no matter what. So like
They're going to get shredded.
whenever, what?
They don't have a secondary, and all the best teams in the NFC have unbelievable passing games, so they're not going to be able to. I agree their front seven's unbelievable if they can get the quarterback, different story, but.
I hate to see AJ didn't even look into that. Did you even look into that? What Connor said there, or are you just?
They lost Jones. They just released HaHa Clinton Dix.
Huh?
Okay. Anything else?
They suck. I hate the Cowboys. I think
Exactly. So you let your emotions get.
I knew when I
Like the
said
great
that.
play
That's where
callers
you were
in the
going to go
NFL.
with it.
Connor, you know that the best play callers in the NFL do not let emotion into their game plan. During the game, like it's not about emotions. It's about what the defense is giving you. What do I need to call to beat these guys? So when I look at it, I try to take my emotions out of it. You can say, oh, I'm biased because I played for Mike McCarthy. No, I just like the Cowboys right now.
Well, and it's also, that's why Freddie Kitchens was so good. 4th and 18, we're running a draw. This is the play I like. I'm not taking my emotions. I'm not calculating for my emotions at all. This is what we're going to run. AJ, we are 2 minutes away from the debut of Diggs' new gambling show here at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show.
Yeah.
Called Hammer Don. Him, Michael Lombardi, I believe Connor will be here. Gumpy will be on the show. They're giving out locks here in about 2 minutes. How do you think Diggs is going to do? He's got a new hat game. He's got a whole new hat game for this thing.
I think Diggs is going to do great. I
Thanks,
think
AJ.
Diggs does a good job of taking his emotion out of his decisions too when he's looking at games and what to bet on and everything.
Big numbers guy. You're right, Age.
Diggs does
numbers. You and Gary Vee both numbers guys.
Well, I wouldn't be compared to that guy, but
Whoa, that guy! What are you talking about? The guy that's going to own the Jets at some
Mr.
point?
Beanie?
You're talking about a
Yeah,
guy that
what's
goes to yard sales on a weekend and fucking turns into
Genius.
I just
Flips cards?
You know how I feel about Gare.
No, tell us more.
Well, he's fake.
Whoa! This is not a good way to start a new show.
Jesus.
Son, I did not know that was coming.
We're gonna give real information.
I am so sorry to the listeners that had to hear that Gary Vee slander right there. I am a Gary Vee guy.
Can't do it.
Love him.
Me too.
Oh, is that right, AJ? Is that right?
Laughing. Who was laughing?
It's the back room. The back room's popping back there.
Gumpy.
Yeah, it's
Hands up,
Gumpy.
pal.
Foxy.
I think me and Ty Schmidt are both big time Gary Vee guys.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
No,
I'd
this
agree
is
with that sentiment.
don't have one of the toxic twins on your side. That guy right there.
What do you mean?
What are you talking about? You?
I've been in a great mood all day, all week.
Oh,
yeah, Bell's back. I love Gary Vee.
Anyways,
Once you get 38 feet of urine tests and taken out and see how you feel.
Wow.
Like Ty.
Wasn't that much, but thank you.
Oh, so we're gonna dive into his colitis, and then we're gonna say that's why he can just turn on everybody.
I mean,
around
it
him?
changes the makeup of your DNA.
All right, we're about 15 seconds away from that. AJ, we appreciate the hell out of you. Hammer Don will be next, hosted by Tone Diggs. We have not worked out the tech for this thing, so we have no idea how it's gonna go. I'll play some music. Let's get this thing started. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
All right, Dave.
Is the show starting now?
Yeah, I think so.
Jay.
I think so, Diggs. You want me to turn down the music? I'll turn down the music. Are you calling Mr. Lombardi?
Yeah, Lombardi's got to get on. Gumpy's got to get in here.
Are you hosting from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I hope you guys give this dude a chance. He's a really good gambler. Michael Lombardi is like just a money hander-outer, basically. Every Monday, Thursday, Friday, they'll be live here. Monday will obviously be recapping their Sunday bets, plus also giving you a preview on Monday Night Football. Thursday, they'll be obviously previewing Thursday Night Football and the first couple games. Friday, they'll be giving you locks into the weekend. They'll also be promoting our absolute locks and super boosts we have every single week with FanDuel. Ladies and gentlemen, to get this thing started, the host of Hammer, Don Diggs. Good luck up there. I'm leaving. I'm out of here, Diggs.
That's a one-man show right here. I'm here by myself. Welcome to Hammer Down. As Pat said, we're going to do this live every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Pat's going to stop in every once in a while when he decides that he has a super boost, super lock that he wants to promote.
I do, by the way. I do have one, by the way. I can turn my mic on and off, by the way. Just leave me on. The super boost that we have right now at FanDuel is Patrick Mahomes, 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and a Chief win tonight. It got boosted from plus 170 to plus 270. And I thought that the boost should have been lifted a little bit more, but the people at FanDuel said if he throws for 300 and 3 touchdowns, he's probably going to win. So we can't just add up all the odds boost for all those things. Plus 270, more than double your money. That seems like a lock tonight, especially with how we've been talking about the Chiefs and what they're going to do. So I'd like to throw my hat in for the first official bet choice of Hammered Down, which will be tracked, that the Patrick Mahomes Super Boost on FanDuel right now for all players, 300 yards, 3 tutties, and the Chiefs winning at plus 270. Go ahead and take all your money and put it on there. Well, actually, you can only put $50 max, but if that's all you got, put it all on there. I think that's a lock for this evening.
Yep, we're tracking that now. I was surprised that it was only plus 170 to start and it was going up to 270. I thought it should have been probably 270 going up to maybe 370 plus 400.
Me too.
I will be running the show. I am Tone Diggs, joined by Gumpy every single day. Like I said, Pat's going to jump in. But, I mean, we've been doing gambling podcasts now in PMI for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that we've ever had the credibility that we're going to have on this show, because we'd like to welcome to the show a former NFL GM. He literally did every single position in an NFL organization, all the way from scout, all the way up through player development, in the offices, coaching, everything. NFL GM at the top, Mr. Michael Lombardi.
Hey, boy, Paisan!
Hey, and I also drove cars too. So I mean, that was another thing. You missed that. I drove Bill Walsh around. So that was the more you can do, they say, the better off you are. So I think that's what works. You learn the ground floor. It's always important.
Michael, who'd you learn more from, Belichick or Walsh?
Well, I knew nothing when I started working for Bill Walsh, so I learned so much. I was a blank tape when I started working for him. And with Belichick, the Walsh spurred on the learning, and then, of course, with Bill, I learned so much. So, I mean, the both of them are probably, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of something Walsh told me to do or Belichick often reminds me of, so it's really hard to split. But, when you're young and you're impressionable and Bill Walsh is telling you what to do, that's a pretty powerful thing.
Michael, I mean, we could go for days about your stories within the NFL, and we will throughout the entire year. But we brought you onto the show for one reason. That was to give winners. You were 87% last season. Was that?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I was 67%. In fact, I had the guy, Brian Peters, on Twitter. He keeps track of it for me because he can come up with these really cool graphics, which I'm incapable of coming up with. So, and he just sent it to me today, and I ended up being, for the regular season, 46, 22, and 2.
Is that good?
Is that good? I don't know. I mean, I'm just checking with you. You tell me. I don't know. I'm not Vegas Dave. I get that. I mean, that man's extraordinary. He's he saw his Instagrams down now today. Wonder why? That's what they call the Bernie Madoff of gambling. But anyway, I think this is going to be an interesting first month of September. I really do. I think you better be. Don't go too fast, too early in this season. I think we're going to learn a lot tonight. I think we're going to learn an awful lot on Sunday. I think we'll learn Monday. And then I think we can start to finally figure some things out. But I would be cautious to jump all in and say, yeah, this is what I know for a fact.
To your point, Gumpy and I were actually talking about this earlier because someone tweeted out that they were going to take the first 2 weeks of the NFL season off from gambling just to see what happens. And I wish I wish I could do that, but like us in this office, we're just too big of a degenerates, and we're doing a gambling show. We can't just take the first 2 weeks off. But yes, that in an ideal world, that would be what we'd be looking to do.
Right. I mean, and that's why you got to rely on people like us to help you to get through this, because, I'm going to look at every single game. I'm going to watch tape on every game. I'm going to study each team because I haven't had the preseason to do that. Not that preseason is really a great indication of what the first game of the season is going to be like. But my question is who's sitting on that Miami team from week 1 last year? What team is going to get just completely killed like Baltimore killed Miami last year? Most people would say that's Indy. But the betting market doesn't say that's Indy. If you go to the betting market today and you look at the betting market and you say, what is the trends in the betting market? They would say Washington, Jacksonville, and Miami are the 3 teams that people seem to really like. And for me, I think, we have to understand that people that listen to this podcast, that the betting market and where the money flows is really, really important to where you want to place your bet. It's really important because what happens is where the money goes, where the sharp money goes, where the action's coming in from is really going to tell you what to bet. And we can all bet, hey, I think New England's going to win by 2 touchdowns. That's great. That's a thought. That's not really a conviction. The money will tell you where the analytics is going to go.
Yeah, and that's big because you were just talking about those 3 teams, and you'll learn this from me throughout the season. I'm kind of a contrarian guy. If the public's huge on one side, I like to go to the other side. I'm also a big under guy. But yeah, we're getting all.
I am too, Diggs. Look, here's what I like. I like this. There's a perfect scenario that I like. I like a low ticket count on a team, but a high money count on a team. I like, because that tells me there's a lot of money. I like action. I like, let's just take, for example, Las Vegas and Carolina.
Yep.
It's not a high ticket count. There's only 1,000 tickets being written up for this game. But 82% of the money is on the Raiders. See, I never would play that. That would eliminate Las Vegas for me.
And that's why that line that's why that line moved from, what was it, 1 and 1.5. Now it's up to 3, which is one of the key numbers in gambling.
And it could go to 3.5. And if it doesn't go to 3.5, for you people listening, if it doesn't go to 3.5 with that much steam behind it, that means the book is scared. The sharps are going to come in and take it at 3.5.
And when you guys are listening to us this season, I believe Michael's using VSiN's numbers as far as percentage of bets and where the money's coming from. We're using OddsFire, which works with FanDuel. So, but they're going to be similar. And another one of those situations is I got 70% of the bets are on Chicago, but only 58% of the money's on Chicago. So I think the sharps are jumping on like the Lions too as well in that situation.
Well, yeah, and I have it reversed here. So it's interesting you said that. So I have the ticket count pretty much down the middle, but all the money's coming in on Chicago. Once that line went from once they announced my dear friend MVP Mitch as the starter, that line shot up to 3. And, look, let's face it. I think if you go back and watch Mitch last year, he played well in the 2 games against Detroit. He knows how to play Detroit because Detroit's not a complicated team to play. So, these are all the things I think you've got to weigh into before you put cash to the window.
All right, Michael. So what we're going to do pretty much every Thursday, we'll go through the 1 o'clock games, the first seven-ish games this week. And then if you have any thoughts on tonight's college football game, then tomorrow we'll do the next 7 games for the NFL slate. And then obviously we'll do all of our winners on Friday so we can keep track of it all together. But if you want to talk about them during here too as well, Gumpy, same with you, of course. Gumpy's also a big footy guy, Michael. So if you need any soccer picks, he's your guy for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, my Essendon team down in Australian football, they kind of let me down. So, yeah, I'm going to need all the help I can get on that.
Yeah, I was on North Melbourne, Mike, so you're still better than me, pal.
All right, so let's start tonight. Texans at Chiefs, 8:20 on NBC. Current line I'm seeing is 9.5. That's what it's been around there. It's been around 10, 10.5, 9.5 the entire time. Over under 54.5. Michael, I just want to get your early thoughts, and then we got a couple questions for you on the game.
Well, look, I think, when you go through this game, everybody focuses on the 24-0 comeback, right? Well, I mean, in week 6 of the season, the Chiefs played Houston. Houston controlled the football for 39 minutes. They won the game 31-24. In that game, they got behind, I think, 17-0. Houston did. And then they came roaring back. I think this is about pace. I think this is about control. I think what we miss a little bit about Kansas City is how good they played defensively last year at the end of the season. Since Mexico City, they were fabulous, even though they gave up some points in the playoffs. But no team really could move the ball on them other than Houston. New England scored 16 on them in I think, week 14. The Chargers scored 21 on them in week 17. So they play great defense. That's the unknown story. I think Houston's offense is explosive. Now, we don't know about Brandon Cooks tonight. I think that's a key guy. But Will Fuller makes a difference to what they do. Will Fuller and Deshaun Watson, have great chemistry together. And I think they're going to move the football on Kansas City. I don't think Kansas City's going to be as good defensively as they were at the end of the year. Now, we know Kansas City's going to be great offensively, and Houston leaves a lot to be desired. But I think play is going to be rather sloppy tonight.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about Brandon Cooks because, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, great wide receiver, but in no way was he a burner. With Cooks and Fuller, who both have a lot of speed on each side, it's tough to double one of those two.
Right.
And then I was going to ask, so I was talking to a guy, and he thinks that David Johnson may have a bounce-back year because the Texans run a similar offense to Bruce Arians. Have you watched any tape on that?
Well, no, but I mean, I've talked to people in the league, and I think everybody's pretty high on David Johnson having a really good year this year. Look, David Johnson's healthy, and he's a good player. So, and they know how to use them. And Duke Johnson, along with David, it gives them basically 5 receivers in the game at all time. What you don't want to have is an offense that only has 3 receivers in a game or 4 receivers in a game. You want 5 all the time, because that challenges the defense. Think of it this way in basketball. When the Rockets spread the floor and they have 5 guys lined up behind the 3-point, the defense has to cover it. It spreads everything out. It's the same thing in football. When you have 5 guys that can catch the ball, they're really problematic, and that's what Houston has. And look, every time we would see DeAndre Hopkins' stats, it always was attached to, here's what Will Fuller means to the offense, here's what he doesn't mean to, and when he doesn't play. They never did that number when Hopkins was on the field. They always did it when Will Fuller wasn't on the field. He's the guy who drives that offense because of his incredible speed, along with his incredible ability to make plays down the field. So, you know, I think this is, and Watson's a great point guard. So Kansas City's going to have their work cut out for him tonight.
Just looking at stats from last year, Mike, they're actually very good against the spread on the road, 5-2-1. Do you put any thought into that looking at this game?
I think teams that play good on the road, and we've seen, you know, last year, I think home teams won 51%, road teams won 49%. So that home field advantage is a little bit tainted. Any team that can score points and throw the ball effectively can play on the road. When I worked for the 49ers with Coach Walsh, his belief was offense wins on the road because we can set the tempo on the road. And that's why Walsh in his career had a better road record than he did a home record. And when you can score, what quiets the crowd more than anything? Scoring. First downs. You know, the crowd goes silent when you get first downs. The crowd goes silent when you score. That's how you win. And when you can do that offensively, that's when you're really a good road team.
Michael, so what was it? It was BYU and Navy on Monday night. And as soon as I saw this stat pop up, that BYU's offensive line had 86 career starts, I knew that may be an issue for an Army defense, and an Army defense that hasn't done any tackling. How much are you looking into how many returning starters are on each team and things like that?
Well, I think that's really important. These guys, I mean, I think it's going to be sloppy no matter how many starters you have back, right? I mean, like, look, Houston's going to start their rookie, their last year's first-round pick, Howard, at right tackle. He missed a lot of last season. You know, their guard, Zach Fulton's going to have to block Chris Jones. He's a really good player. I think everybody's pad level is going to get high, but I think more than anything, I think conditioning is going to be the biggest factor. Like, you know, I think conditioning, guys are going to get tired fast, right? They're going to get tired because it's different to practice than play a game. You know, and in a game, you go 10 plays in a row. You may go 8 plays in a row. You're going all out. In practice, you're not going that all out. So I think fatigue, as Vince Lombardi said, makes cowards of us all. I think fatigue is going to play a huge role. If you dress 55 guys for this game or whatever the NFL lets you dress for these games, you better play them all because everybody's going to get tired.
All right, Michael, I got some trends here before we get to see if you have any picks for tonight. Kansas City is 7-0 against the spread the last 7 games with Mahomes, obviously, as a starting quarterback. The reigning Super Bowl champs are 13-5-2 against the spread in the next season's opener. And then the favorites in Houston and KC are 5-1 against the spread run in that series. Are you leaning away tonight?
You know, I mean, my instincts tonight tell me is the under should be in play because I don't think execution's going to be very good. I think there's going to be wet balls. The stadium, there's going to be mist. It's going to be in the 50s, so the weather's not going to be – the wind won't be a factor. I just think it's going to be hard to have pristine execution. Like, that's why we practice, because we practice to have great execution. You know, Belichick would often say practice execution becomes game reality, right? That was one of his big sayings. Well, if you don't have a lot of practice time, how do you get to game reality? It's hard. So I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I would say the under for me is something that I would. Again, I'm not going to play this game. I would recommend the under, and I would recommend taking the points. I think Houston can score. I think Houston and Deshaun Watson is really competitive. I know that their defense is limited, but I think they're going to be able to score. I'm not saying they're going to win the game tonight, but I think they're going to give them a good game.
Yeah, I know they added Roby to the secondary. The secondary still worries me a little bit. So let's jump. Let's do a couple other games this weekend before we get out of here today. Bears at Lions, like we talked about earlier. The Lions 3 over under 44.5. My question for you, and I've heard you talk about this before, is that Mitch does okay against defenses where if whatever he watches on Wednesday and Thursday shows up on the field on Sunday. Is Detroit Lions and Matt Patricia, is that one of those defenses?
No doubt. So here, what I said, what I meant by that was simply this. So when Matt Nagy can script practice on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and the game comes off the same way as that script, then Trubisky knows where to go with the football. And the proof's in the pudding. I mean, last year against them, my man MVP Mitch, who at times can, last year he was 29 for 38 against them for 338. I mean, so that's why. Now, if he were playing Greg Williams and the Jets on opening day weekend, I would be out on Mitchell because you're playing Rubik's Cube if you're playing Greg Williams. You have no idea what he's going to do. You can't simulate practice. This team, you can. They're going to be a lot of cover one. The middle of the field's going to be closed. And Nagy can go to Trubisky in the headset and say, hey, look, we're going to run indigo here. Hold on the dig. The dig's going to come open late. Click. And he'll do it. But when he can't predict it that cleanly, it's going to be harder for him.
Do you think the Lions bounce back a bit here, knowing that it's going to be the last shot for Patricia at all?
Well, I think, look, Matthew Stafford to me is the best quarterback in the. I know you guys had Aaron Rodgers on the show today, but I think Matthew Stafford's the best quarterback in the North. I mean, and I got the stats what he did last year, he was the best quarterback in the North for the 8 games. Rodgers has averaged 7.1 yards per attempt the last 5 years. So the 5 years before that, he was at 8.4. So he hasn't been able to throw the ball down the field. I think if Matthew Stafford, I think they're going to score points on the Bears. I think they'll move the ball on the Bears. I think the question mark is going to be, can Detroit stop people? They're the worst 2-minute defense in all of football last year. And if you can't get off the field in 2 minutes, that's going to cost you games.
Minus Darius Slay as well.
Minus that. Well, they got the first round pick, right? They get Trufant from Atlanta, and they got Justin Coleman, who they signed from Seattle. So they've got 3 guys. But look, it's like baseball. If you throw a steady diet of fastballs, no matter how good you throw fastballs, they hit you. It's the same thing with playing coverage in the NFL. You play too much man, they're eventually going to get to you.
All right. So do you have a lean or anything for that?
I lean towards Chicago and take the. I mean, look, anytime a line comes out for me that opens up, like Denver opened up at a 2-point favorite against Tennessee. Yep. Tennessee's now a 2.5-point favorite. I'm always going to go back to the team where the Vegas doesn't screw up the lines that bad, where they you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
The perceptions move the line, not the reality.
Yeah, and my worry is the Lions are the Lions, and for them to be people. they could be the Browns of last year. That's the type of hype that they have right now going into Week 1.
Yeah, and they could be. For me on my pod, when I this would be a game that I would not give out on my pod because I think there's too much uncertainty here. But I like Chicago. I lean towards Chicago in this game. I think Chicago matches up to them, and I think Detroit has a hard time rushing the passer, which makes MVP Mitch feel really comfortable.
All right. Speaking of the Browns, Michael, I kind of like 7.5. I think it's a lot of points. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, look, last year, it depends on what game you want to go to. The game in Baltimore, Cleveland ran the football, right? They ran the ball, and Baker Mayfield didn't cost them the game, right? The recipe for the Browns this year is the same one that won the game in Baltimore. We're going to run the football. We're going to, run Hunt. We're going to run Chubb, and we're going to we're going to keep this guy out of shotgun. We're going to keep him under center. We're going to run play action passes. I think Cleveland's got a chance to be a good team. I think they're one of my sleepers team. I would take the points in this case. I think anytime you get a divisional matchup, I think it's always tighter than what the line is.
Yeah, there's a stat I did have it in front of me. The division where the game's more than 7.5 points, the dog is always a safe pick there. Gumpy.
Yeah, I like the Ravens. I know it's a lot of points, but I feel like it's still a good spot for this Baltimore team over Cleveland.
Yeah, and then Michael, is there something to the Browns having the Ravens the first game of the year and having all offseason to prepare for an offense like they're running with Lamar Jackson?
Well, it's great in theory. That sounds good. But who do you have on your team that can simulate Lamar Jackson?
True.
I mean, there's nobody that runs as fast as he do that's on your team, right? You could say, well, put Beckham back there, let him play quarterback. He ain't as fast as Lamar.
Baker thinks he is.
Landry's not as fast as Lamar. You don't have anybody on your team as fast as Lamar. Plus, who's throwing the ball 70 yards like the Bionic Man down the field? You don't have anybody can do that either. So, it looks good in theory. Hey, we have all this time to prepare for it. Like, Middle Tennessee had all that time to prepare for Army, right?
Yep.
But once the game started, Middle Tennessee, the game was moving too fast for Middle Tennessee. Whereas BYU against Navy was different because BYU's quarterback was really good and they could throw the football. And when Navy got behind, it was over, right? Navy's offense isn't to play catch up.
All right, Michael, let's go to Packers at Vikings. Vikings are currently -2.5. It opened at 3, so a little bit of movement towards the Vikings there. 45.5 is the over-under. I'm taking under big here. 21-16 and 23-10 was the scores last season. They tend to play low-scoring, tight games. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, I think so, too. I think Mike Zimmer wants it to play close. He doesn't want to let the game get away from him. Plus, both teams want to run the football. I mean, Kubiak wants to run it, and so does LaFleur. And so when you want to run the ball, the clock's going to get reduced down. So typically, when you play a game, you think you're going to get 75 plays, right? This game's probably going to come in at 62. And that's going to lean itself towards the under. It's going to lean itself because one thing when you run the football, you don't make a lot of big plays. Running the ball kicks field goals. Explosive plays score touchdowns. I mean, don't ever forget that. So I do think look, Minnesota struggled to play Green Bay. Green Bay's defensive line kicked the shit out of Minnesota last year in both games. It was hard for them. Here's my problem with Minnesota. Is Thielen was the number 2 receiver last year. Now he becomes the number 1. Is he really a number 1 receiver? Can he beat double coverage? I know he's a good player. I'm not disputing that. But it's different when you're the number 2 guy to become the number 1.
Do you think Jefferson can help out covering that for him?
Yeah, but the young players early in the season, I think if you're counting on a rookie who's never really played. Now, I know LSU's played at a high level. Don't get me wrong. But there's a whole different element there when you're doing that. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
And then some trends on that one. Minnesota is 9-1 against spread in their last 10 games at home in September. Green Bay is 8-2 when they're playing Minnesota, and they're actually on a 6-game under run between those twos. Let's move to Colts at Jaguars. Earlier you talked about the Jaguars getting a lot of sharp action. Are you going that way?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not trusting Gardner Minshew and this whole bunch. I mean, I think Indianapolis will be well coached. I love Frank Wright. I think they'll run the football effectively. I think they'll do a lot of good things in the game. I think their defense will be much improved with Buckner. I like Minshew, but I thought Minshew at the end of last year kind of got worn down. He's not a big guy. So, who are the weapons for Jacksonville? Who are you worried about? Now, here's what I'm worried about. Here's why I wouldn't play this game. I'm worried about the heat and humidity in Jacksonville.
Okay.
I'm worried about Indianapolis going down there wearing their blue jerseys, and getting really worn out by the fourth quarter and having a rally come back. That's what I'm worried about.
This reminds me, though, of when and not saying the Colts are as good as the Ravens were last year, but the Ravens went down to Miami last year, I believe, in Week 1 and won by 40 in a similar situation where it seemed like the Dolphins were trading every single human away, and Jacksonville seems just
to be doing the same thing. Yeah, it's got the same feel to it, and there's no doubt. But, again, and I think I love Frank Wright. I think, if Indy wins, they better win the first quarter.
Exactly.
If I'm Frank Wright, I'm talking to my team saying, look, we got to get ahead here. We got to make them play from behind. We got to make them pass protect. We got to do that.
All right, Michael, 2 more games before we get out of here today. Raiders at Panthers. We already talked about the line move there for the Raiders. You're going to stay away from that, or does that mean you're going on the other side with the Panthers at all?
No, well, I mean, I have a hard time with this game because A, my son works for the Panthers, so I don't want to jinx him. and B, I don't like ever being on the side of the public. So, but I don't know enough about Carolina's offense to really feel good about it. This is one of those games I want to see Matt Rule's team play a little bit before I bet on them.
Michael, I'm the same way. You will never hear me put in a bet for or against the Steelers on the show because I do not want to jinx them.
Yeah, I don't like to do. You won't hear me talk about New England betting, or because my son works there, or the Panthers because and just for the record, I never bet anyway. So
I know.
I don't turn. I've never bet. I never bet. I just give up betting because really, what I'm doing here is no different than what I did in the NFL. My expertise is to study NFL teams and break down games. That's what I do.
All right, the last game that I want to talk about is your former employer in the Patriots, currently giving 6.5 to the Dolphins there at home. Gumpy, by the way, is a Dolphins fan. I don't know if you've seen his Tua jersey. He's really excited about the future there.
Hopefully, he'll stay healthy.
Let's hope.
What are your thoughts in a kind of revenge spot here for the Patriots?
This is an interesting game, right? So this game's, what do you have it at?
I have it at 6.5 currently.
I have it at 6.5 on my board too, at Circa and VSiN's numbers. But I think this, so the money coming in is all Miami money at 6.5. It's all Miami money, and they haven't moved the line. They won't give you that half point. Mm-hmm. They're not moving that line. That is a worry for me. That's a red flag for me. Why? Why aren't they moving that line? They should move this line, and they have. So it's going to be interesting. I think I would lean towards these games being closer, but I think this. I think Cam Newton's the best quarterback in the East. I think Belichick's the best coach in the East. I think it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, my only worry would be so many new defensive pieces for Miami. Flores is a great defensive coach, but it's still a lot of faces without any preseason games or anything like that, Mike.
And here's the other thing you have to worry about. Miami wants to be a man-to-man cover team. They drafted the corner they signed Byron Jones. They got Xavier Howard. They drafted a corner who I can't say his name in the first round from Auburn, right? So there's 3 corners that they paid significant dollars to. They're going to line up and play man-to-man. You play man-to-man against Cam Newton, he might lead the team in rushing that day.
All right, Michael, I appreciate you. Do you have anything on the college game tonight, UAB in Miami?
I think, UAB's played a game already,
yes,
right?
Correct.
And I don't trust Manny Diaz is getting his team ready.
Nope.
I mean, we saw it last year, so I lean towards UAB. Once again, I'm in the dark on these college games. Until I can see something, it's hard to really say.
Yeah, I hear you, because Miami brings in De'Aaron King, and they have a new OC. Their D-end, who had 15.5 sacks, opted out. And then UAB, who returned 17 starters, had a warm-up game last year. They had 460 yards of offense. Plus, last year, Miami lost to Louisiana Tech, FIU, and they beat Central Michigan by 5. I don't trust this Miami team at all.
I don't either. I don't know how anybody could go in there. But what's funny about this? This is why the NFL and college football, we need it. I don't know about your ticket count, but my ticket count here is almost 7,500 tickets being written for that been written for that game already. Mm-hmm. And if you take all the NBA games today and tomorrow, that doesn't even come to 5,000.
Football is king, Michael. Football is king. Hey, thanks so much for jumping on and being part of this year.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, sorry we kept you a little long. We will be quicker tomorrow. Have a great evening. Who was playing the music? What is going on? Oh, is that the end of the show?
Oh, are you done?
We are now.